Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Traveling through thousands of realms, starting from obtaining the 10 Marvel Rings. Chapter 61. Meilin saw Rosen's pupils turn into samsara eyes and felt the change in Rosen's aura, and she became cautious. However, she still attacked Rosen with domineering and violent swordsmanship. Shinra Tenzhang. Lawson instantly activates the ability of the samsara eye. The moment Meilin was about to collide with the repulsive force, she suddenly kicked her foot and retreated violently. Shinra Tianzhong directly destroyed the buildings on both sides. After Meilin retreated 20 meters, her eyes turned pure gold, she suddenly stopped and rushed forward. This is also her ability, Vulnerability Insight. She can see the flaws in anyone. After Rosen released Shinra Tianzhong, she saw Rosen's flaws. But at this moment, Rosen once again released a Shinra Tianzhong. Normally, there is a 5-second interval between the release of the Shinra Tenzhang by the Samsara Eye. But Rosen has 3 pairs of reincarnation eyes. The moment Meilin sprinted forward, she immediately collided with the repulsive force of Shinra Tianzhong. Meilin immediately blocked her face with her long sword to resist the repulsive force of Shinra Tianzhong. The long sword forms a cover to block the repulsive force. The moment the repulsion disappeared, Merlin attacked Rosen again. Rosen's eyes turned blue, and the whites of his eyes turned pure black. Switch to pure eyes. Meilin swung out her sword. Rosen leaned back slightly to avoid Meilin's sword, and at the same time swung his sword to stab Meilin. Meilin's golden eyes also discovered the flaw in Rosen's sword move. She avoided the stab and struck back with another strike. Rosen saw all of Meilin's attack trajectories within 10 seconds, but Meilin's golden eyes could see the flaws in Rosen's sword moves. Both of them are like the most skilled swordsmen. They are obviously cutting and stabbing at the most basic level, but they are constantly exchanging moves. You can see through my sword moves, and I can predict your approach. Moreover, both of them were using their speed to the extreme, so that in the eyes of others, the two of them seemed to be creating countless duplications in an instant. Both sides felt that it was impossible for them to defeat the other party with close combat swordsmanship alone. Each stepped back a few meters away. Their eyes met, and their pure eyes and golden pupils were also observing each other. Since Meilin became the supreme mage, she has rarely encountered an opponent who can match her. The Rosen in front of her is undoubtedly a match. Rosen just uses the basic ability of Jingyan to see the future. He hasn't used the time realm yet, and he can also feel that Meilin still has some trump cards that she hasn't used yet. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. The earthquake was so strong that the whole of London fell into panic. Just this earthquake caused hundreds of buildings in London to collapse. Meilin looked at Rosen with doubtful eyes. She thought it was Rosen who did it. But she saw that Rosen was also looking at her with questioning eyes. At this moment, Rosen and Meilin looked towards the sky at the same time. I saw a huge amount of swirling clouds appearing over the city of London. The vortex is said to be a dark cloud, but rather a huge vortex formed by dark energy. Immediately afterwards, 13 black beams of light rose up around the city of London and shot into the sky, just like 13 black pillars reaching the sky. When Meilin saw the 13 black sky-reaching pillars, a look of shock and anger appeared on her face. And when the 13 black light pillars rose into the sky, Duomu and Omar also began to rise into the sky at this time. Kill as much as you like, everyone is going crazy, haha. Duomu laughed wildly, and his body flew higher and higher. A large black rain suddenly fell from the black vortex in the sky. Rosen felt that there was an ominous atmosphere in the black rain, and he immediately put on the black Susano armor on his body. But the civilians in London were in misery. After they were exposed to the black rain, they began to become deformed. These black rains are the purest dark energy. Any mortal who comes into contact with dark energy will be distorted. And these civilians who were contaminated by the black rain began to fight each other. They were all reduced to irrational beasts, roaring and killing. Among the dark society, there are also black magicians trying to absorb the black rain. But what greeted them was not an increase in magic power, but an even more terrifying dark creature that was twisted by the black rain. Domu and Omar looked up at the black vortex in the sky. The vortex began to grow bigger as more and more killings occurred in London. At the other end of the black vortex, there is a universe called the Dark Dimension. They have been planning for so long in order to sacrifice the entire city of London as a sacrifice to open the passage to the dark dimension. At this moment, the entire city of London has turned into a bloody hell, filled with crazy killings everywhere. There is no distinction between friend and foe, no pity or sympathy. What falls in the sky is no longer black rain, but sticky black tentacles like tentacles. At this time, Demomu and Omar were receiving the baptism of the black tentacles. That is the purest dark energy. Open the dark dimension and receive dark energy. Become dark energy and dominate dark energy. Domu and Omar are both undergoing transformation. They feel that their power is constantly getting stronger and they are constantly surpassing their past selves. From body to soul, everything is becoming pure again and again, becoming darker, crazier, and deeper. At the beginning, they took the initiative to accept the dark energy, but as time went by, it turned into dark energy and was actively poured into their bodies. At this moment, Domu and Omar were like two gods standing in the sky, overlooking London below. And their eyes soon noticed Rosen and Meilin. Immediately afterwards, Domu and Omar pointed their palms in the direction of the two people at the same time. Terrible dark energy condensed in their palms. Rosen and Meilin looked at each other with solemn expressions on their faces. Meilin clenched her sword with both hands and pointed her backhand at the ground. Gaia, please listen to my praise. Your vastness is immeasurable, your vastness makes people admire you, you generously nourish all souls, you are the greatest mother of the earth, the spirit of all things, and the saint under the sky. Please work with me to protect and drive away all blasphemers. Merlin's sword sharply pierced the ground. The next moment, an endless stream of energy was poured into the sword's edge, and then poured into Meilin's body along the sword's edge. Rosen glanced at Meilin from the corner of his eyes, and then withdrew his gaze. At this moment, the golden reincarnation eye between Rosen's eyebrows opened. 6 paths. Reincarnation eye mode. 12 Tao-seeking jade condensed on Rosen's back. Meilin withdrew her gaze. Sure enough, when she was fighting with her just now, this guy didn't use his full strength. The two made eye contact again, and immediately took action at the same time. 12 Tao-seeking jade turned into flowing light around Rosen's body, condensed in Rosen's palm, and condensed into a golden lightsaber. 6 golden wheels reincarnated and exploded. Merlin drew her sword at the same time and raised it high above her head, divine judgment. The wrath of Gaia. A golden and a silver sword light were swung out at the same time, and the two rays of light faced the terrifying dark power. Boom! In an instant, destructive energy bloomed in the sky, a huge amount of hole appeared in the sky, and the entire sky cleared up instantly. Everyone saw the blue sky. The gem-like blue sky restored many people's minds. Domu and Omar rolled hundreds of meters in the air before stabilizing themselves. Looking at Rosen and Meilin again, their faces were filled with anger. The two held hands at the same time, and the dark energy in their bodies bridged each other. Then they raised their hands respectively, and the sky that had cleared for less than half a minute was once again shrouded in darkness. Immediately afterwards, the dark energy all over the sky gathered into a 100-headed demonic dragon with a body length of 1,000 meters. The 100 demonic dragons spewed destructive power from their mouths, and huge amounts of bodies wreaked havoc in the city of London. Each head was destroying everything around it and killing all living creatures. Rosen raised his hand and grasped it, a 10-tailed beast jade condensed in his palm, and then suddenly threw it towards the 100-headed demon dragon. The huge amounts of the 100-headed demonic dragon's body destined it to be impossible to avoid Rosen's attack. Boom! A 100-meter large hole appeared in the chest of the 100-headed demonic dragon, and huge amounts of energy impact knocked the 100-headed demonic dragon to the ground. But the 100-headed demonic dragon roared upward, and the dark energy in the sky was absorbed by the 100-headed demonic dragon, and the huge amounts of hole were quickly closed. Immediately afterwards, 100 heads of a 100-headed demon dragon were aimed at Rosen and Meilin at the same time. At the same time, there is faint purple light flowing in its abdomen, and it flows to 100 dragon heads. Rosen's eyes narrowed, and Meilin's expression also became solemn. Secret technique. 9 layers of Rashomon. Rosen clasped his palms together, and the ground immediately roared, and then a giant door with 9 faces rose from the ground. This 9-layered Rashomon gate is already at its limit. Every time one more ghost gate is summoned, the defense of the following gate will be doubled. For example, Orochimaru can summon the triple Rashomon, and Senju Hashirama can summon the fifth Rashomon. The hundreds of bloody mouths of the 100-headed demon dragon burst out with purple dragon flames at the same time. The first ghost gate shattered in response, then the second ghost gate, the third, the fourth, until the ninth side, the ghost gate finally blocked all the purple dragon flames. Mei Lin jumped up and jumped hundreds of meters in an instant, holding the sword in her hand high above her head. Immediately afterwards, millions of sword shadows appeared in the sky. How can a foreigner know how to return to the clan with 10,000 swords? Mei Lin held up a sword flower, and millions of sword shadows in the sky danced with Mei Lin's movements of swinging the sword. The sword shadows in the sky were like a torrent that broke a bank, constantly rising and falling, constantly colliding with each other, and emitting bursts of sword sounds. Mei Lin's eyes narrowed, and the tip of her sword pointed at the 100-headed demon dragon. Millions of sword shadows shot at 100 demon dragons in an instant. The power of this single-handed sword shadow is ordinary, but if millions of sword shadows are combined into one blow, its power can only be said to be that if a person blocks it, it kills a Buddha. After the overwhelming sword shadow hit the 100-headed demonic dragon, the body of the 100-headed demonic dragon continued to melt. Compared to Rosen's pure energy-tailed beast Jade, Mei Lin's attack is 100 times more lethal to the 100-headed demonic dragon. This should be because Merlin's magic has an absolute restraint effect on the dark-type 100-headed dragon. Two black beams of light shot towards Mei Lin before she could retreat. Rosen instantly turned into a stream of light, but he was not going to save Mei Lin. He wished Merlin would die at the hands of Domu and Omar. Domu and Omar attacked Merlin in a sneak attack, so he could also sneak attack on their brother and sister. In an instant, Rosen appeared in front of Domu and Omar, with a sinister smile on his face. Have you ever been kicked by light? The expressions on Domu and Omar's faces changed wildly. With this distance and speed, and the fact that they had just charged up to attack Merlin, they had no time to make any unnecessary moves. Domu suddenly grabbed Omar's shoulders and pushed him towards Rosen. Rosen's full light speed kick has also been kicked over. Oma looked at Domu in shock, and the next moment she was kicked directly in the abdomen, and her whole body fell on Domu. Domu also vomited blood and flew out. At this moment, the black vortex in the sky suddenly expanded to its maximum size. Domu and Omar didn't care about entangled with Rosen anymore at this time. The two of them turned into a black light and rushed towards the black vortex high in the sky. Rosen raised his hand and fired a laser beam, but at this moment, Domu and Omar were so fast that even Rosen could not match them. The two of them also knew that in their current state, they could not be Rosen's opponents. Omar arrived in front of the black vortex first, suddenly turned around and struck out, knocking Domu out of the pursuit, and then she plunged into the black vortex. Rosen's eyes narrowed, and he suddenly swung his sword, and the golden wheel was reincarnated and exploded. The golden sword light struck Domu's body, and Domu screamed and fell from the sky. At this moment, the black vortex high in the sky twisted, revealing Omar's face. Ha ha, my brother, I succeeded, and now I am the Dark Lord. Omar's huge amounts of face were laughing hysterically, and Domu looked up at Omar with a ferocious face. Get 100 time and space points. Rosen glanced at Domu below. It seems that Domu failed to become the Dark Lord, which has a really big impact on the plot. However, seeing this result, Rosen couldn't help but feel that he was worthy of being a black magician. Even close relatives will betray you if you tell them to. Omar had just become the Dark Lord, and she couldn't wait to show her ambitions. The end is coming. Omar's face showed a look of madness, and streaks of black energy fell from the sky. Hey, if you want to destroy the world, you have to vote, the newly promoted Lord. If they just wanted to become Dark Lords and conduct some inhuman experiments on the European continent, Rosen wouldn't even bother to ask. But if the world is to be destroyed, Rosen really can't stand idly by. Oma wants to use dark energy to completely erode the world, and then pull the world into the dark dimension. Rosen looked at Mei Lin, and Mei Lin also looked at Rosen from a distance. The two of them broke out with all their strength again. Mei Lin raised her sword high and muttered a spell. Rosen's whole body erupted with golden light, and in the next moment he transformed into a 1,000-meter golden crow. Light escape. The great sun and the golden crow. The golden crow's wings spread out, and a mighty light burst out. At the same time, it is also accompanied by the scorching high temperature spreading out. The falling dark energy and the golden light on the golden crow offset each other. The golden crow incarnated by Rosen circled over the city of London, and where the golden light shone, the darkness was annihilated. The edge of the sword in Mei Lin's hand turned into a huge sword and slashed towards Omar's face in the sky. Ah! Omar screamed, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to shatter in an instant, and the sky was furious. This sword did great harm to Omar. She has only just become the Dark Lord, and she has not fully controlled the power of the Dark Dimension, so she is far from invincible. And Mei Lin's sword had almost exhausted all the magic power. The power of this sword was a bit excessive to say that it was the creation of the world, but it was not much different to say that it was to destroy the world. When Rosen saw this, he immediately spread his wings and rushed into the air. Boom! Under Rosen's impact, Omar's giant face gradually disappeared. At this time, Rosen saw a ring of fire appear in the sky, and a figure walked out of the ring of fire. The visitor was none other than Maggie. I saw Maggie raising her hands high, and a red line running from east to west passed by. Then came the second, third. Gradually, the entire sky was covered with red lines. Maggie pushed her palms upward, and the red lines began to rise and disappear in the air. Rosen's eyes narrowed slightly. That was that the prototype of the Mage Network? Maggie glanced at Rosen, then fell in front of Mei Lin. Mei Lin was very weak at the moment, but after seeing Maggie, her face showed surprise. Your Excellency, Supreme Mage, are you okay? Ahem. I'm fine, thanks to your arrival. Otherwise, I'm afraid there's no way to stop the invasion of the Dark Lord. Merlin said a word and then started to pant. Now, as the current Supreme Leader, I made an oath in the name of the Mage Merlin Ambrosius, Grand Magi, you will inherit the name of the Supreme Mage and continue to protect our world. Mei Lin raised her finger and gently tapped Maggie's forehead. A golden mark appeared on Maggie's forehead, and her eyes were covered with a golden light. Maggie took a deep breath and nodded silently. From now on, I will be the Supreme Mage, my name is Ancient One. Mei Lin looked not far away and saw a fat man running over. Supreme Mage, how are you? My destiny has come to an end. Mei Lin said. From now on, she will inherit my name, and you must serve the new Supreme Mage just like you serve me. As you command, Lord Mei Lin. The fat man said with a look of sadness on his face. Rosen did not approach, but came to Alice. Alice was unconscious due to being eroded by the black rain. When she saw Rosen approaching, Alice was still baring her teeth and claws at Rosen. Rosen went up, slap slap. After a few slaps, the black energy from Alice's body poured out. Alice looked at Rosen in confusion, covering her face. What are you doing? She had no idea what had happened before. It's nothing. There is a new and more ferocious Supreme Mage over there taking the throne. If we don't want to be slapped on the wall by her, I think we should leave early. Maggie has now transformed into the Ancient One, and she has mastered the Book of Weixin Emperor. Although it is still short, judging from her performance just now, it is estimated that her strength is very close to Mei Lin. Now that she has received Mei Lin's 1000-year mage inheritance, once she completely absorbs Mei Lin's mage inheritance, I am afraid she will truly transform into a Supreme Mage. Moreover, the Ancient One is different from Merlin. Rosen is confident of dealing with Merlin's magic type and fighting style. Everyone is going head to head, competing in strength, speed, and combat skills. Rosen didn't dare to say that he would win, but at least there wouldn't be a hopeless gap. Moreover, it was purely a competition on the level of strength, so Mei Lin might not be able to defeat him. But the Ancient One's fighting style, Rosen said, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's either time or space. Maybe if we fight her for 300 rounds, we can go back in time and everything will be in vain. Time is the most unsolvable force in the world. Even if the Ancient One of this era cannot defeat Rosen, the Ancient One of the future can still come to help regain the ground. This is simply a scam. Rosen has no idea about the Ancient One. Ancient One glanced at Rosen who was walking away. She did not stop Rosen from leaving. At first, she didn't quite understand the difference between the magic book she got and the magic book Rosen got. But after traveling in the European continent for several years, she had already understood the antagonistic relationship between black magicians and white magicians. It is not only an opposition in strength, but also an opposition in ideas and thoughts. Rosen did not travel long in the European continent and returned to the Central Plains after half a year. Nowadays, Rosen's family has more and more money. The last time he came back from the world of Resident Evil, Rosen brought back hundreds of tons of gold and tens of thousands of tons of silver. Although it was not taken out at once, 10,000 taels were taken out to expand the industry. Nowadays, all the fields in Luogia village have been bought by Luo Sendu. And all the villagers in Luogia village became Luosen's tenants. Rosen's idea was to create a strong and powerful local gentry status, and then spend some money to get his son a jinshi status in the future. In this way, no matter whether it is the government or bandit bullies, they will not offend him easily. When Luo Ming was 6 years old, Chen Lian had a second child. Rosen did not go out again and stayed at home with Chen Lian while waiting for Chen Lian to give birth. He didn't have this ability before, but now that he has it, he naturally has to give Chen Lian the best safety and health measures. Wow wow, the sound of a baby crying came from the delivery room. Rosen's perception ensured that mother and son were safe, and he was relieved. Not long after, Mrs. Wen came out of the delivery room holding her infant child. Congratulations to Mr. Luo, congratulations to Mr. Luo, your lady has given birth to a daughter of yours. Rosen grinned, took out a piece of gold and gave it to Po Wen. Thank you for your hard work, auntie. When Po Wen saw that Rosen was so generous, she immediately beamed with joy and hurriedly stuffed the gold into her sleeve pocket. This ingot of gold should be about 3 or 4 taels. According to the gold to silver ratio in the early Ming Dynasty, 1 tael of gold is equal to the exchange ratio of 10 taels of silver. Luo Sen's money will allow Po Wen to have enough food and clothing for his family in the next few years. Thank you, Mr. Luo. It's dark today and it's not safe to walk at night. My sister-in-law went to the guest room to rest and will go back tomorrow. Rosen took the baby, teased it for a while, and immediately entered the delivery room. Although Chen Lian was a little weak, she was still energetic. Rosen held Chen Lian's hand and sent life force into Chen Lian's body bit by bit. However, if he transfers his vitality like this, he will waste at least 90% of his vitality. After all, Chen Lian doesn't know how to absorb life force. Luo Sen liked his daughter very much and originally wanted to ask an old scholar to help him name her. After all, Luo Sen and Luo Ming were named by the old scholar. But when it was his daughter's turn, the old scholar immediately turned his face and said that a girl would belong to another family in the future, and he would not name Rosen's daughter at all. Rosen was so angry that he almost burned down the old scholar's house at night. It was Luo Sen who named his daughter Luo Mingyu. Everyone in the family could see that Rosen obviously liked Luo Mingyu. Rosen walked around the village every day holding Xiao Mingyu. As for Luo Ming, Rosen was much harsher on him. Of course, his studies are also very important. However, there are too many ancient Chinese books that Rosen brought back from the world of biohazard. The long existence of aristocratic families in the world is also related to their collection of books. Many unique books are only collected by aristocratic families. But Rosen built a huge library at home. It can be said that as long as the scholars have heard of the books, their family has a collection, so that now the old scholar comes to borrow books every day. When Luo Mingyu was 2 years old, Rosen's magic power was finally able to open the 5th page of the Book of Darkness. The 5th page of the Book of Darkness finally records the first combat magic, Devil's Hand. At the same time, Rosen also rested at home for a few years and planned to travel again. Because time in the Marvel world will freeze after time travel, Rosen didn't notify anyone. Directly start the 3rd time travel. Rosen glanced around. Where is this? This was a mountain forest of unknown location. Rosen pushed through the trees and walked for half an hour before finally seeing a figure in front. Rosen immediately got out of the woods and found that it was a young man. And this young man had a paralyzed face, without any expression, with silver white hair and a pair of blue eyes. Rosen felt the terrifying power in those eyes. So much so that Rosen even doubted whether the other party's surname was Otsutsuki. Those eyes are so similar to the reincarnated eye, they are both full of infinite energy. The boy with facial paralysis looked expressionlessly at Rosen, who emerged from the grass. If you are here to kidnap me, you'd better give up this idea now. I don't want to kill people in the back of my house. After all, this is one of the few places where I can move freely. The boy with facial paralysis said. Ah hee hee, I'm just here to ask for directions. Rosen smiled. At this moment, the system seems to have retrieved the world and then sent the task. Mission 1. Fight against Gojo Satoru, Liangmian Sanuo, and Fushihei Shir. The more times you fight, the richer the rewards will be. Mission 2. Fight with spellcasters and spell spirits. The more people there are, the more generous the rewards will be. Task 3. Learn spells. The more there are, the more generous the rewards will be. Task 4. Join Tokyo Magic College and teach students. The stronger the students you teach, the richer the rewards will be. After seeing the mission, Rosen already understood that he had come to the world of magic. So is the facially paralyzed boy in front of me, the Gojo Satoru in his youth. However, Rosen saw that Gojo Satoru had huge chakra energy in his body. Perhaps in this world, it should be called a curse. The next moment, Rosen's smile stretched to his back molars, revealing a villain-like smile. Kid, can you kill me? When Gojo Satoru saw Rosen's face, he knew he had to fight. Gojo Satoru raised his right hand, his ring finger and little finger overlapped, and 3 fingers stretched out. I saw Gojo Satoru's finger, Lawson, technique. Ow! An energy that tears everything apart condenses at Gojo Satoru's fingertips. Bang! Rosen's pupils suddenly shrank, his arms were blocked in front of him, and his body was blown away by this huge force. Gojo Satoru withdrew his gaze and commented in a neutral tone, "What a boring battle." To him, this was just an assassination with nothing new. A bounty of 100 million has been placed on him since he was born, so he has experienced hundreds of assassinations since he was a child. Call. At this time, Rosen emerged from the grass again in a panic. His clothes had turned into a beggar's version, and his hair, which he had carefully combed before coming, now became messy. It's really embarrassing. Gojo Satoru took back the steps he had just taken, and looked at Rosen in surprise. His body was hit by Soma, but he was unscathed. Gojo Satoru used the Jutsu Ao again. He wanted to confirm whether the person in front of him could really perform the Jutsu Ao with only his physical body. Another spell. Kang attacked Rosen, but this time Rosen would not use his body to resist this attack. Jealousy stretches out from the shadow, and the desire lasts forever. It all belongs to me. A vortex appeared in front of Rosen. The moment Kang approached the vortex, he was directly swallowed by the vortex. If I want to live forever, I will finally return home. The next moment, a spell that was several times stronger. Kang bounced back from the whirlpool. When Gojo Satoru saw this, he immediately avoided it. The technique that bounced back was like a bulldozer, pushing straight forward and horizontally. It blasted a circular hole hundreds of meters ahead, punching through rocks and trees. Gojo Satoru suddenly raised his eyebrows. This guy in front of him was no ordinary killer. Immediately afterwards, Gojo Satoru suddenly rushed towards Rosen. He was almost an all-round magician. Long range, close combat, speed, strength, and magic power are all at the pinnacle of the magic world. Since the opponent has the ability to absorb his own long-range attacks and double the rebound, melee combat is undoubtedly the best tactic. Gojo Satoru is very fast, and this is the first time Rosen has faced such a fast opponent. Even Uchiha Madara, Senju Tobarama, and Senju Hashirama are not as fast as Gojo Satoru. However, Rosen was able to do it with ease. While Gojo Satoru was testing Rosen, Rosen was also testing Gojo Satoru's strength. After 100 moves between the two sides, Rosen had basically judged Gojo Satoru's melee level. Rosen suddenly accelerated, and Gojo Satoru could not keep up with Rosen's movements immediately. Rosen punched Gojo Satoru in the face, but Gojo Satoru was unharmed. He punched Rosen in the face with his backhand. Rosen was hit by the punch and took several steps back, covering his face with a look of shock. At this moment, Rosen began to doubt himself. Is this Gojo Satoru so thick-skinned? Gojo Satoru suddenly laughed. Doesn't it feel strange? Why is your attack ineffective on me? Rosen immediately understood that this was a technique with no lower limit. Gojo Satoru stretched out his hand and opened his palm towards Rosen. Come on, shake hands with me. Only at this time did Gojo Satoru look like a young man. Rosen stretched out his palm and held it with Gojo Satoru. That feeling was very magical. Even though I was shaking hands with Gojo Satoru, I felt like my hands were empty, as if I didn't hold anything. Do you feel it? Gojo Satoru looked at Rosen quite proudly. To put it simply, there is actually an infinite distance between you and me. The closer we are, the slower your speed will be. Gojo Satoru's smile became extremely bright. Do you understand now? You can never defeat me. Don't be too proud, young man, you are not truly invincible yet. Rosen said in the tone of a senior. Gojo Satoru's smile did not diminish, but became even more excited. Then let's give it a try, challenger. Challenger. No, you are the challenger. Rosen took the initiative to attack Gojo Satoru this time, and Gojo Satoru easily stretched out his hand to slap away Rosen's kick. However, while Rosen was kicking his feet, he grabbed Gojo Satoru with his palm, and all things were attracted by the sky. Gojo Satoru's unlimited ability can withstand all attacks, making it an absolutely unbreakable defense. But it couldn't prevent Gojo Satoru from approaching on his own initiative. Just like if others hit him, he will be blocked, but if he hits others, he will not be blocked. Rosen's Vientiane tension can directly cause Gojo Satoru to be beaten on his own initiative. Gojo Satoru was hit for the first time since he mastered the unlimited technique, and was kicked out by Rosen. Now, who is the challenger? Rosen crossed his arms and looked at Gojo Satoru, who was sitting on the ground in embarrassment, with a smile. Instead of being angry, Gojo Satoru showed an excited and arrogant smile. He opened his arms and laughed. This is the battle I am looking forward to, this is the opponent I am looking forward to. Technique. Kang. It's still the same move, but the power is 10 times more powerful than the previous 2 times. Technique Ao can be said to be Gojo Satoru's signature attack method, and the characteristic of this move is that as long as the spell power is enough, the power can be infinitely increased, and it can reach negative infinity distortion and compression power, and can even create a similar an attack in the form of a black hole. The technique Kang also has extended effects, such as super speed movement, super strength, and long-distance teleportation. Rosen's eyes narrowed. It seemed that Gojo Satoru was serious about it. The moment Gojo Satoru pointed his finger, the twisted energy shot towards Rosen instantly. Rosen raised his right hand, Shinra Tianzhong. In an instant, a powerful repulsive force burst out from Rosen's palm. Shinra Tianzhong and Zhu Shikang bombarded each other, and the 2 attacks were the purest physical collision of power. One is a super strong gravitational force, and the other is a terrifying repulsive force. The moment the 2 sides stirred together, the mountain collapsed in the aftermath. All things are attracted by heaven. Gojo Satoru was pulled over by Rosen again. Shinra Tenzhang. When Gojo Satoru was pulled halfway, Rosen released Shinra Tenzhang again. Gojo Satoru seemed to have hit an iron wall, and his mouth and nose spurted blood instantly. Now, do you understand who is the challenger? The kid from the Gojo family. Gojo Satoru covered his head, which was bleeding all the time, and his eyes were a little more solemn. Rosen points to Gojo Satoru. All things are drawn to heaven. Light escape. Laser. In an instant, Gojo Satoru's neck was pierced by the laser. Gojo Satoru knelt on the ground in astonishment. A black hole appeared on his neck. He didn't expect that he would lose the battle like this, let alone die so hastily. He is the only 6-eyed sky in the Gojo family for hundreds of years. How could it end here? Gojo Satoru was unwilling to give in, and crazy obsession began to grow in his heart. How could I end my life so carelessly? At this moment, Gojo Satoru realized the reversal technique. Gojo Satoru quickly activated the reversal technique, and the hole in his neck was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Haha, this is the feeling, this is the power. Gojo Satoru regained his physical damage, and even his physical strength was restored in an instant. I am the only one in heaven and earth. In the past, Gojo Satoru had no lower limit for spells, so even though he had the highest understanding in the world of magic, he was unable to comprehend the reversal spells. The reversal technique can only be understood when one is on the verge of death or is afraid of death. However, Gojo Satoru has been the strongest being in the world of magic since he was born. He has never experienced near death at all, and no one can kill him, so he has never been able to comprehend the reversal technique. And now, because Rosen allowed him to experience the feeling of near death, he finally understood the reversal technique. After comprehending the reversal technique, Gojo Satoru's strength did not double, but increased tenfold. Gojo Satoru looked at Rosen again. The second round begins. Rosen raised his fingers and said, "Come on." Gojo Satoru knew that the enemy in front of him was not the rookie killers he had encountered in the past. So this time Gojo Satoru put away all his pride and raised his hand to point at Rosen. Reversal of the technique. Hey, the power of this move is completely opposite to that of the technique. The technique, Kang, represents gravity, while the reverse technique, He, represents crushing and repulsion. Jealousy once again unleashes its lust for the heavens. It all belongs to me. Then there was another longing, and I finally came home. Even more terrifying energy was released from the vortex. Gojo Satoru stood there and allowed the power several times that of the reversal technique to bombard him. The unlimited technique was activated again, but it was still unscathed. As long as he doesn't crack the unlimited spell, he will still be invincible. Except for Rosen's all-seeing tension, which pulls Gojo Satoru directly into his own attack, there are only two ways to break through the unlimited technique in the original work. One is the curse tool Tenibobo controlled by Fushiguro, which is a curse tool that can forcibly cancel any spell. Another method is to neutralize the spell. Leonmi and Sanuo used this method to break Gojo Satoru's unlimited spell. Rosen also had a headache with Gojo Satoru's unlimited spells. Every time he wanted to attack him, he had to use the all-seeing tension first. Gojo Satoru raised his hands in a virtual posture. See. This move is his strongest feature. It is the combination of Jutsu Ao and reversal Jutsu He. Two completely opposite powers of fantasy are combined together. I saw two high-speed rotating energy balls appearing in front of Gojo Satoru. These two energy balls integrate with each other under the control of Gojo Satoru. An incredible ball of energy formed. Rosen finally felt threatened by this move. Rosen fired the golden Tensegan on his forehead, 6 paths Tensegan mode. 3 Dao-seeking jade turned into a golden sword, and the golden wheel was reincarnated and exploded. Boom! The entire area of more than 10 kilometers in the mountains behind Gojo's home was wiped out in this explosion. Gojo Satoru knelt on one knee and looked at Rosen with shock and disbelief on his face. He understood the reversal technique, and he was still able to defeat it. Who is this guy? Are you going to die here? Rosen exhaled. It's really dangerous. Before I die, can you tell me who you really are? I'm just here to ask for directions. Why do you always think I'm here to kill you? Really? Gojo Satoru raised his head and looked at Rosen blankly. So, you are not a killer. Where is the Tokyo Conjuring College? Rosen asked. Gojo Satoru's expression froze. The Conjuring College is in Tokyo, 260 kilometers away from our Gojo home. Why are you here? Getting lost, is this a reasonable reason? Rosen said matter-of-factly. Gojo Satoru had every reason to suspect that Rosen came here specifically to beat him up. Can you give me some directions? Gojo Satoru pointed in a direction. It should be over there. Thank you. It was a pleasure to play with you. Although your strength is still a bit weak, you are already very good. Gojo Satoru looked at Rosen, always saying, MMP, in his mouth, not knowing whether to take it seriously or not. This is the first time he has been evaluated as being a bit weak. Rosen traveled through the entire Tokyo and came to the Tokyo Magic High School. Finally, Rosen came to the Magic College. When Rosen arrived at the Tokyo Metropolitan College of Magic, he felt an invisible barrier blocking his way. This layer of barrier can ensure that outsiders will not enter the Magic Academy by mistake, and it can also ensure that some special events in the Magic Academy will not be seen by outsiders. The moment Rosen entered the Conjuration College, more than a dozen first-level conjurers appeared around, blocking Rosen's way. Who are you? What are you doing here at the Conjuring College? A tall conjuring master stared at Rosen, and the cursing power in his body was constantly giving warnings. Rosen showed what he thought was a bright smile and looked at everyone present. I'm here to apply for a job as a spell teacher. Rosen replied. I don't think a guy with unknown origins is qualified to be a teacher at a magic college. Rosen's smile became even brighter, and the 3 shadow demons at his feet were attached to Rosen's body at the same time. The aura on Rosen's body became more dangerous and profound. Rosen raised his arm and grabbed hard into the air. The next moment everyone felt that the Conjuration College was shrouded in a huge amount of shadow. The moment everyone raised their heads, they felt like their scalps were going to explode. A giant meteorite with a diameter of 10,000 meters appeared above everyone's heads. At this moment, everyone's expressions froze, and they all looked at Rosen with horrified eyes. Is this a spell? When did such a terrifying spellcaster appear in the world of magic? Rosen still looked at everyone with a smile. If I can't become a teacher at the Conjuration College, then there is no need for the Conjuration College to exist. You have about 30 seconds to prepare a suicide note. Stop it, you lunatic. Do you want to destroy the Conjuring College? Do you know there are hundreds of people in the Conjuring College? I don't care. If you don't let me be a teacher at the Conjuration College, then no one can be a teacher. Rosen said matter-of-factly. You still have 20 seconds. I agree. Finally, the tall spell teacher said. Rosen looked at the tall spell teacher. What do you mean? Yes, I, Noctua Jungdao, swear in the name of the Noctua family. Rosen then looked at Noctua Jungdao, and it turned out that this guy was Noctua Jungdao. Rosen raised his palms, and a 10-tailed beast jade condensed in his palms. After a few seconds of accumulating power, the 10-tailed beast jade suddenly shot high into the sky. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shaking loud noise, the 10,000-meter boulder was shattered in an instant. Countless gravels fell like raindrops. Rosen stretched out his hand again, and a vortex of huge amounts appeared in the air, sucking all the gravels into the whirlpool. Everyone looked at Rosen with awe and fear. Noctua Masamiki is not the principal of the Conjuring College yet. The current principal is Kamo Fujiki, the elder of the Kamo family. Rosen was taken to see Kamo Fujishu by Noctua Masami. Although Kamo Fujiki is from the Gosen family, he is able to serve as the principal of the Conjuring College because his position is more inclined to civilian conjuring masters. Today's magic world is very similar to ancient China, where the power struggle between aristocratic families and common people took place. The aristocratic families have more inheritances and their own bloodline inheritances, so their status is higher than that of ordinary civilian spellcasters, and their strength is also stronger. The number of civilian spellcasters who can get started is far lower than that of children from aristocratic families. Although the Conjuration College was established by major aristocratic families, it was actually more open to civilian conjurers. Kamo Fujishu looked up at Rosen. Which family are you from? Kamo Fujiki immediately thought that Rosen was a magician from a big family. There is no way, the methods used by Rosen cannot be used by civilian spellcasters. Summon meteorites and destroy meteorites. Even a super magician can't do it. So far, there are no civilian super-level magicians in the world of magic. Civilian conjurer, Rosen said. Kamo Fujishu narrowed his eyes and looked at Rosen. He obviously didn't believe what Rosen said. For a civilian spellcaster, putting aside the difference in bloodline, spells and resources to enhance spell power are not available to civilian ninjas. In their Conjuration College, you also need to hunt curse spirits in exchange for points. This is also the channel currently provided by the Conjuration College for civilian conjurers to rise. It is impossible for a civilian magician to reach the level of a special magician without sufficient resources. Even when performing tasks, the mortality rate of civilian magicians is much higher than that of children of magic families. This is very similar to the world of Naruto. If civilian ninjas do not have enough resources, it is also extremely difficult to reach the shadow level. Mr. Luo, you said you were a civilian magician, so where did your magic come from? My spell is that I awaken a special bloodline. Kamo Fujishu examined Rosen. Is it convenient to show it? Rosen's eyes began to show samsara eyes. Kamo Fujishu stared at Rosen, trying to distinguish whether it was a spell or a bloodline. It would be understandable if they were talking about awakening a special bloodline. After all, some families have been submerged in the long river of history, and their bloodline has been passed down to this day. It is not a strange thing to suddenly awaken their own bloodline. This is the eye of reincarnation, Rosen said. Can you explain the technique for these eyes? Illusion, gravity, repulsion, summoning meteorites, creating meteorites, super long distance vision, super dynamic vision, mantra observation, mantra replication, control of puppet mantras, channeling. Kamo Fujishu opened his mouth with a look of astonishment on his face. Look at what you said. Any ability can cause an uproar in the world of magic. Rosen actually has so many abilities in one person. Is there really such a terrifying bloodline family in the magic world? Can you tell me your purpose of joining the Conjuring College? I want to learn more spells, and I am also willing to use my spells. Didn't you say you were a civilian magician? Do you still have magic skills? As you can see, my ancestors may be from a large family, so I also inherited these spells. Rosen said. Can you show me a non-bloodline spell? Kamo Fujishu asked. Here, Kamo Fujishu took Rosen to the playground. Chidori. Rosen condensed thunder in his palm, and his body rushed out like a bolt of lightning. Bang! Rosen's palm passed across a big tree, and the tree was directly cut off by Rosen. Huge amounts of trees crashed down in front of the Kamo Fuji tree. This tree has a history of 300 years. Kamo Fujishu looked at Rosen's method in amazement, but when he saw the fallen tree, he couldn't help but remind him. Chidori Shigur. Rosen waved his hand, and electric current suddenly shot into the sky, and then exploded in the air. Countless needles carrying electric current rained down, covering a radius of tens of meters. Rosen quickly formed a seal with his hands, fire escape, and the fireball technique. Fire escape. Fire dragon bullet technique. Fire escape. The art of hard work. Water escape. Water dragon bullet technique. Water escape. Great waterfall technique. Earth escape. Earth escape. Wind escape. Wind escape. As Rosen continued to show off, Kamo Fujishu was dumbfounded. He has never seen a magician master so many spells. Rosen returned to Kamo Fujishu. Is that enough? Kamo Fujishu looked at Rosen. Is this all? No, in fact, I have thousands of such spells. All I cast are low-level spells, and there are also some high-level, special-level spells that are not convenient to cast here. The Kamo vine tree's scalp is about to burst. Such a powerful spell is just a low-level spell. So how strong should a high-level spell be? And there are more than 1,000 in number. How many spells does this guy master? You said these are just low-level spells. Of course, if you don't mind me destroying the playground, then I'll be happy to show it to you. Are you willing to take out all these spells? Of course, at the same time, I also hope that the spells of the Conjuration College can be open to me. Okay, Kamo Fujishu agreed decisively. After all, most of the spells collected by their spell specialist are ordinary spells, nothing unusual, but the spells performed by Rosen are quite rare, and can even be said to be unique. And the number is very large, so many spells, enough for their spell specialist to train more civilian spell masters. In addition, I hope that nothing will happen again that threatens the Conjuration College. I wasn't threatening the Conjuring College, I was showing off my talent. Rosen successfully joined the Conjuring College. Compared to others who go around Rosen, Noctua is obviously more enthusiastic. So of course, Rosen and Noctua also made friends. Noctua Jungdao is a first-level conjurer and a master of puppet curses. If placed in the ninja world, then Noctua Masami would be the puppet master. But Rosen knew that Noctua Jungdao had created something that even a top-level conjurer might not be able to do. He had created a cursed corpse with life and consciousness. The evaluation standard for a special magician is that a certain item reaches a height that others cannot reach. Noctua Jungdao actually meets this standard. Noctua, how about taking me to see your cursed remains? Of course, Noctua Jungdao has his own studio. It is said to be a studio, but it is actually a factory covering a very large area. When Rosen entered the studio, he was still shocked by the scene inside the studio. After all, the entire studio is hung with various humanoid and alien corpses. It looks like 100 ghosts walking in the night, which is quite heartbreaking. At this moment, Rosen saw a panda corpse. When Rosen's eyes swept over the panda's cursed corpse, his eyes condensed slightly. He perceived the spiritual power of this panda's cursed corpse. The panda curse is not the strongest curse here, but it or he is the only curse with spiritual power. This cursed skeleton is very special, Rosen said, pointing to the panda. A strange color flashed across Noctua's eyes. Oh, What do you think is special about it? How can a self-aware curse not be special? How do you know? Rosen nodded the corners of his eyes. Nothing can be hidden in these eyes of mine. Noctua stepped forward and kicked the panda lying on the ground pretending to be dead. Get up, panda, stop pretending. At present, Pang Da has not been exposed, and he has not yet thought about how to take Pang Da out. Once it is known that Panda has self-awareness, it is likely that he will be sliced and studied. And he was only a first-level conjurer, so he was simply unable to protect Panda. Rosen's 4 shadow demons emerged from his shadow. What a strange guy. This guy actually has self-awareness. It looks delicious. Noctua looked at Rosen's 4 shadow demons in surprise. Who are they? They are similar to your panda corpses. They all have self-awareness, but their body is my shadow. Rosen said. Luo, can you do me a small favor? Noctua said, rubbing his hands. Gojo family. Gojo Satoru was lying on the lawn in the yard, holding a piece of dogtail grass in his mouth, looking at the blue sky, and stretched out his hand as if to grasp the sky in his hand. At this moment, a butler wearing a formal dress came to Gojo Satoru. Master, something happened at the Kyoto Conjuring High School. 3 days ago, an unknown conjurer came to the Tokyo Conjuring High School and claimed to be a teacher at the Conjuring High School. If he didn't agree to his request, he would. It's about destroying the Conjuring College. Gojo Satoru had a look of surprise in his eyes. When he saw that person before, he felt that he was inexplicable. I didn't expect that he really dared to do anything. The Magic Academy was jointly created by all the magic families. Taking action against the conjuration expert is equivalent to declaring war on all conjuration families. Not even Gojo Satoru dared to do this. What happened next? Exclamation mark. The housekeeper glanced at Gojo Satoru and said, he summoned a meteorite that was larger than the Conjuring Academy, saying that if the Conjuring Academy did not agree with him being a teacher, he would destroy the Conjuring Academy. Hiss. Gojo Satoru took a breath. This man was really ruthless. The key was that he still had this strength. If you change someone else and make the same move, you will see if the Conjuring Academy can do it to you, and you will see if the major families can do it to you. But if it were that person, it would be reasonable. Nothing but big fists. Gojo Satoru has played against Rosen, so he knows very well how strong Rosen is. And he knew very well that that confrontation was definitely not everything about Rosen. He has joined the Conjuring College now, right? Yes, young master, he is now the teacher of the Conjuration Department. He does not have any classes or students in charge yet. Does the Master of Conjuring have information about him? A civilian magician, suspected to be the heir of an ancient magic family, has a very special bloodline. According to his self-introduction, his special bloodline is called the Samsara Eye, which has the power of illusion, gravity, repulsion, summoning meteorites, and manufacturing meteorites. Super long-distance vision, super dynamic vision, spell observation, spell copying, puppet control, channeling, and originally mastered more than 1,000 spells. Gojo Satoru took a deep breath again and looked up at the butler. Are my 6 heavenly eyes really the strongest eyes? Master, you must be the strongest. The butler's answer was sonorous and powerful. Register me for the College of Magic. I want to become his student. Gojo Satoru said. Yes, master. The butler did not question Gojo Satoru's decision. He was a firm and loyal executor and would not and did not need to question the master's decision. Rosen walked out of Noctua Jungdao's studio, and Panda also followed. The thing that Noctua Jungdao entrusted to Rosen was to show the outside world that Panda belonged to Rosen. Noctua Jungdao was only responsible for making Panda's body, and Panda's core techniques were entirely written by Rosen. Noctua did this just because he wanted Rosen to protect Panda. Only Rosen's strength can be feared by all parties in the magic world. Not long after, one person and one bear saw the Kamo Fuji tree, but they deliberately let the Kamo Fuji tree meet. Kamo Fujishu noticed Panda immediately. Luo, if you are not in combat status, don't summon the cursed corpse at will. My cursed skeleton is very special. It has self-awareness. I don't like to seal it on a scroll or in the cursed skeleton space. Kamo Fujishu was stunned for a moment, and then looked at Panda seriously. Panda immediately bowed to Kamo Fujishu and said, Hello, Dean Kamo. Although Panda is cursed, he is quite polite. Ah, hello. Kamo Fujishu was greeted by a cursed man for the first time, and he was a little at a loss. How about it? My curse bones are pretty good, right? Yes, this was also created by your spell. Yes, but the body of the curse was made by Noctua Jungdao. I have to say that his skills are really good. Luo, I think you'd better not let too many people know about this. His name is Panda. Don't let too many people know that Panda has self-awareness. Rosen grinned, but I did it on purpose. I just want others to know that Panda has self-awareness. Why is that? Because I want to kill people reasonably and legally. Kamo Fujishu's face was slightly ugly. This guy was indeed an unstable factor. No more chatting, I still want to take Fatty for a walk. Rosen waved his hand. Rosen came to the library, and now Panda also needs to study. He is an ordinary curse corpse, and he also has the ability to learn spells. Rosen has been spending time in the library every day these days. Rosen was completely certain that the magic power was chakra. However, the world of Naruto and the world of magic have developed two roots. The enemies of the spells in the world of spells are more often spell spirits, so the direction of development is more towards elimination. In most cases, the spell power of spell spirits is stronger than that of spellcasters, so spellcasters have learned to achieve their goals in less laborious ways. And there is no Otsutsuki clan in the world of magic, so relatively speaking, the world of magic has more magic skills than attacks. In the world of Naruto, the enemies of ninjas are also ninjas, so ninjutsu is more focused on destruction and killing. Develop more and more powerful ninjutsu in the killing. Of course, no matter which world there are some outliers that stand out from the crowd. For example, Liang Mian Su Nuo, or Wu Tiao Enlightenment. They are the outliers among the outliers. What Rosen is really interested in are reversal techniques, unlimited techniques and fields. The reversal technique is unique to the world of magic and can be understood as anti-curse power and anti-chakra. Reversing the technique allows the wound to be healed in the opposite way by the energy and destruction caused by the damage. This is not Muji self-healing or healing technique, but the complete opposite, that is to say, the healing technique can be turned into an attacking ninjutsu. The spell with no lower limit can only be cast by the 6 eyes of the sky, because only the 6 eyes of the sky have the ability to finally control the magic power, and only the 6 eyes of the sky can see how the magic power flows and is distributed. Rosen believed that his reincarnation eye and samsara eye were as powerful as the 6 eyes of the sky, so he should also be qualified to cast unlimited spells. As for the field, this should be controlled by the power of the world of magic than the world of Naruto. There are also some detailed operations in the field, such as the birth field, field expansion, and simple field. The realm of life and death is a realm on the spiritual level, which can pull the enemy into the spiritual level to fight. In the world of magic, physical death may not necessarily lead to death, but if it is death on the spiritual level, it is real death, and even reversing the spell cannot save it. The kind that comes back. Domain expansion combines the biological domain and domain techniques to display the domain in the real world, and it is also the most powerful way to express the domain. The simple field is a weakened version of field expansion, and its greatest function is not offense, but defense. The field has a sure hit effect, but it can be neutralized through a simple field to erase the sure hit effect. To put it simply, the function of the simple field is to defend against the sure hit effect of the enemy's field expansion. The special level curse spirit Tuo Gen once said that the realm is real power plus a little imagination, sudden inspiration and fleeting opportunities. What is real power? It should be your own unique power characteristics. Is my own Dalwoshan a domain? Dalwoshan is the ultimate eye technique of the reincarnation eye. Although it is very similar to the expansion of the field, it does not seem to be a field. So is the instantaneous realm of the pure eye considered a realm. It is somewhat specious. However, spellcasters have an upper limit, especially when casting in the field. Once cast, it is easy to approach the upper limit. This upper limit is the spell fuse. Even Gojo Satoru and Rangeman Sanuo have cap fuses. Once a spell fuse occurs, the spell will no longer be able to be used for a certain period of time. There is no fuse on its own. Whether it is the actual Great Luotian or the Shihia realm, it cannot achieve the fuse effect of the spell, so these two should not be realms of the world of spells. Only when it reaches or is close to the fuse effect of the spell can it be considered a domain. Panda, you learn by yourself first, I'll go out for a walk. Luo, what should I do if I am attacked? Forget it, come with me. Rosen thought for a while. Panda was still a newborn, and his spells and fighting skills were average. He might not be able to overcome a slightly stronger spellcaster, but he promised Night Moth to take good care of Panda. Rosen took Panda to find the Kamo vine tree again. Kamo Fujishu looked at Rosen. Luo, what's the matter? Two things. The first thing is Panda. I hope to help him apply for admission. Kamo Fujishu was a little surprised. He can learn spells. Yes, he has the learning talent of a normal person. It's okay to enroll him in school, but you have to promise me something. What's up? Don't kill people at the Conjuring Academy. No problem, provided that no one threatens Panda's life. Kamo Fujishu nodded. He was also ready to issue a ban to all teachers and students in the school. He was not allowed to attack Panda. At the same time, he also did not allow outside spellcasters to enter the school at will, so as to avoid too many casualties. What about the second thing? I want to see your domain, principal. Kamo Fujiki was a little surprised. Is he planning to find loopholes or weaknesses in his field? Or do you want to study a field? Wait, doesn't this guy have a domain? You haven't mastered the field yet. Kamo Fujishu looked at Rosen in surprise. He originally thought that Rosen's strength should have mastered the field expansion. Yes, before I came to the Conjuring College, I had little contact with other conjuring masters, and I didn't even know there was such a thing as a field. Kamo Fujiki no longer knew what to say. Without the domain, he is already so strong. Once he understands the domain, how strong will he be? My field is very dangerous. Are you sure you want to see my field? Certainly. Although in the world of magic, there are domains that can crush spellcasters without domains, Rosen wanted to try to see if domains can really crush those without domains. The two came to the playground again. Rosen destroyed the playground last time and it has not been completely repaired yet. The Kamo vine tree forms a seal with both hands, and the domain expands. Taki joins the vortex. The next moment, Rosen discovered that the sky turned colorful, and at the same time a vortex appeared under his feet. The vortex was spinning at high speed, and tentacles stretched out from the vortex. These tentacles pulled Rosen's body, trying to pull Rosen into the vortex. This is a field that stretches out to 200 meters. If it were any other magician, even Gojo Satoru, if he didn't use the simple domain to neutralize the Kamo vine tree, he would probably be in a passive position. Rosen suddenly jumped into the air, but no matter how he avoided it, the tentacles in the vortex still clung to him. Even if he breaks off one tentacle, more will wrap around him. This is the inevitable effect of domain expansion, and his body is constantly being pulled into the whirlpool. Rosen gave up struggling and allowed the tentacles to drag him into the center of the whirlpool. The moment Rosen was drawn into the center of the whirlpool, a large amount of water poured into Rosen's mouth. And regardless of whether Rosen opened his mouth or not, the water was as powerful as it was, prying open Rosen's mouth and pouring the water into Rosen's mouth. This is the sure hit effect of domain expansion. It cannot be avoided or resisted. Rosen felt uncomfortable being held up by the large amount of water, but even so, Rosen still did not use violent means to break it. Rosen felt that his belly was about to burst, and the severe pain was unprecedented. Just when Rosen's belly was about to burst, the chakra in Rosen's body suddenly began to flow backwards, and at the same time, the contents related to the spells and spell power that he had seen in the past few days flashed through his mind. Finally, Rosen understood the subtle difference between chakra and curse power, as well as how to activate the reversal technique. When I don't know how to do it, no matter how I think about it, I feel that reversing the technique is too counterintuitive. But after comprehending the reversal technique, Rosen understood the operating mechanism and principles of the reversal technique. Reversal of the technique. Extreme. Rosen does not want to treat his own body. With his physical fitness and self-healing ability, he can recover in a very short time even without any treatment. The water in Rosen's stomach was instantly controlled, and a reversal technique was applied. As Rosen suddenly exerted force, the water in his stomach was instantly sprayed out. Under the blessing of Rosen's power, the water burst out with terrifying explosive power, directly breaking through the vortex and shooting at the edge of the field. To break the realm, you can use realm collision or use violent means to destroy it. Rosen is now using absolute destructive power to destroy the field. At the same time, a huge sphere with a diameter of 200 meters that was originally floating on the playground was suddenly blasted open from the inside. Then, like a balloon that was exploded, it began to rapidly disintegrate and collapse. Kamo Fujishu looked at Rosen not far away in astonishment. He did not expect that Rosen could directly destroy his domain. And at the moment when his domain expansion was dismantled, Kamo Fujishu also entered the magic fuse. At this moment, he only has a little bit of physical skills left, and he can no longer use any spells or fields. Rosen spat. He really felt like he was going to die just now. Unexpectedly, I didn't learn the field, but I realized the reversal technique. However, my thinking seems to be wrong. To learn how to expand the field, you must first understand its operating mechanism and principles, as well as the way the magic power operates. Principle: you have a good rest. I will come back to you when the fuse is over. Rosen waved his hand and said. Kamo Fujishu has an urge to vomit blood, and the magic fuse is it. In less than 10 days and a half, there is no way to recover. Surgical circuit breaker means the body is overloaded. A normal person's body is overloaded and requires a long time to recover. There are only 2 people in the world who can end the magic fuse within 1 minute, and that is Gojo Satoru and Ryomi Insanuo. Of course, for experts at their level, it would be very dangerous to be able to force them to the point where the magic melts down within 1 minute. Take the decisive battle between Wujao Satoru and Su Nuo. Wujao Satoru was forced to have his technique fuse. In less than a minute, Wujao Satoru was almost cut into pieces. If Su Nuo didn't like Bibi Lai Lai and wasted 20 seconds, Gojo Satoru would have been defeated the first time the technique was fused. Kamo Fujishu didn't say anything else. Rosen had already saved face for him. Because just now Kamo Fujishu really had the intention to kill Rosen. If Rosen hadn't forcibly disintegrated his domain expansion, Takihei River Eddy, Kamo Fujishu might have killed Rosen. In the final analysis, it is the sure hit effect of field expansion, and this sure hit effect is also the strongest feature of field expansion. Rosen conducted a more in-depth study of the inversion technique. The reversal technique is not just a simple technique, it is all-encompassing. What Rosen only mastered was the basic logic technique of reversing the technique. 10 days later, Kamo Fujishu found Rosen. Luo, as a teacher at the Conjuration College, do you plan to be responsible for teaching a subject, or teaching a class? Kamo Fujiki asked. It's okay. I'll accept whatever arrangement you have. Not long ago, 3 freshmen entered the school. You are responsible for assessing them and testing their strength and talent. Understood. When? Tomorrow morning. By the way, Panda has also completed the admission procedures, and you will be responsible for it from now on. The next morning, there were 3 freshmen, 2 boys and 1 girl, standing on the playground. One of them had silver hair, so naturally he was Gojo Satoru. There is also a boy with a bun hairstyle and a handsome face, but his eyes are slightly unfocused. There is also a girl with shoulder-length short hair, dyed brown, who looks like a delinquent girl. Isn't it said that Tokyo Metropolitan High School is the best school for magic? Why is their playground so shabby? Ieri Glass complained. If I had known earlier, I should have signed up for a high school in Hokkaido or Osaka. Tui, the family member Jazzy spat casually, not looking like a lady at all. It seems like there has just been a battle here, and it was a special battle. Gojo Satoru said, looking at the surrounding environment. Is there a special teacher for spellmasters? Shayuji was a little surprised. Yes, one of them is the principal of the high school, Kamo Fujiki. I remember he is a first-level conjurer, right? He just didn't apply for the special-level magician assessment. It doesn't mean that he is not a special-level magician. He is a member of the Yusan family. Once he is rated as a special-level magician, the Kamo family will definitely let him return to the family. What about the other one? Well, isn't that coming? Gojo Satoru looked into the distance. I saw 2 figures walking from a distance, one was a young man, and the other was a panda-shaped corpse. Rosen yawned and came to the 3 of them. He raised his hand and said hello. Hello, I'm Rosen, your teacher. This is Pang Da, who will also be your classmate in the future. So that's it. It will start officially tomorrow. Attend class. Hey, teacher, shouldn't you test our strength and talent? Sha Yuji shouted, looking eager to try. Gojo Satoru was also gearing up. He was not very satisfied with the last battle. After all, he had not activated the field expansion at that time. Only those who come from a wealthy family have a bad look on their face. Wouldn't it be easier to enroll in school? Why do you have to provoke the teacher? Oh, those who want to be tested will stay, and the others will wait by the playground. Pang Da ran to the edge of the playground with all his heart, and Jaji also wanted to run away. But if she retreated at this time, she might be isolated by Sha Yuji and Gojo Satoru in the future, so in the end she chose to stay. Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji both looked excited. Gojo Satoru's eyes were shining brightly. A shadow formed on the ground around Sha Yuji, and a dozen quasi-level 1 curse spirits emerged from the shadow. Teacher, don't die. Sha Yuji didn't know Rosen well, so he was more cautious. He didn't want to kill a teacher because of his mistakes. Jealousy emerged from Rosen's shadow, Shinra Tianzhong. The repulsive force exploded with lust as the center, and the first one to bear the brunt was the quasi-level 1 curse spirit summoned by Sha Yuji. More than a dozen quasi-first-level curse spirits were shattered in an instant. Followed by Gojo Satoru, Sha Yuji and Yeri Glass, faced with the terrifying repulsion, they were directly blown to the edge of the playground. A look of horror appeared on Sha Yuji's face, and he instantly killed more than a dozen quasi-level 1 curse spirits. You must know that even he spent a lot of effort to defeat them. Gojo Satoru had expected it and looked at Rosen more seriously. Just now, Iru Glass used her hands to cover her face, but now her hands were bloody. But in the blink of an eye, her hands returned to their original state. This is a reversal technique, and Iaiki Shoko is one of the few magicians who masters the reversal technique. Rosen has arrived outside the playground, leaving only Envy standing in the center of the playground. Since you want me to test your strength, then you try to defeat it. As long as you defeat it, you will pass the test. The expressions of Gojo Satoru, Sha Yuji and Yeri Glass suddenly changed. In their view, jealousy is just a curse. Just a curse wants to defeat the three of them. Isn't it too childish? Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji have not yet been rated, but both of them have defeated special level curse spirits many times, so they are definitely special level magicians. What Ie Noshiko is good at is not fighting, but healing. Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji attacked Envy at the same time. But jealousy is a shadow, and it cannot be attacked. The fists and kicks of the two people directly passed over Envy's body, and Envy's arms turned into blades and swept out, and a bloody mark was cut on their chests at the same time. Gojo Satoru's eyes widened, his unlimited technique was actually broken. Gojo Satoru looked at Rosen at the edge of the playground. A smile appeared on Rosen's face. This is the reversal technique and neutralization technique he specially developed for Gojo Satoru. At this moment, a spell attached to the two of them, and their wounds healed quickly. This is the reversal technique of Ie Noshiko. Most of the reversal techniques can only heal himself, but Ie Noshiko's reversal technique can heal other people. You just have to attack, leave the rest to me. Iru Glass said from the rear. The cursed spirit should be in a state similar to that of a shadow. Conventional physical means cannot attack it, so the structure of the spell must be changed. Gojo Satoru's eyes can see through the essence of energy. After Gojo Satoru's explanation, Sha Yuji was also in a dilemma. He was not good at changing the structure of the technique in a short period of time. Don't worry about attacking. I have applied a reversal spell for you. All of your attacks have the effect of the reversal spell, and you also have the ability to attack imaginary enemies. Iruji Glass said. Both Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji were a little surprised. It seemed that the ability of someone who had come from a wealthy family was very impressive. Fantasy is a very common change in the world of magic. Some enemies exist in fantasy, and some moves also belong to fantasy. For example, Gojo Satoru's unlimited techniques and virtual techniques are all fantasy attacks. These enemies or moves are basically invincible if there is no corresponding means. After thousands of years of development, the magic world will also develop targeted moves. Ie Nishiko's reversal technique is a method used to target imaginary enemies. Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji rushed to Envy again. But this time, Envy was no longer unable to be attacked. Their fists and kicks attacked Envy, and Envy had to fight with all his strength. Jealousy had never avoided other people's attacks before, but suddenly he had to compete with others in close combat. He was really powerless. Jealousy felt that he was about to be unable to resist, and immediately launched the Shenluo Tianzhong. Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji were knocked out again. That guy's repulsion is too difficult to deal with, Sha Yuji said with a gloomy expression. To remind you, the jealous Shinra Tianzhong has a 5-second cooldown, Rosen reminded. Upon hearing this, Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji immediately rushed toward Envy. 5 seconds is enough for them to do a lot of things. Sha Yuji was the first to rush to Envy and entangle him. Gojo Satoru jumped into the air and made a shooting motion. Technique. Kang. It was too late for Jealousy to show off her lust, seeing that he was about to hit the top of his head. Suddenly, Jealousy's body was covered with a layer of black chakra, just like armor, and the magic bullet flew out. The black chakra on Jealousy's body became thicker and thicker, beginning to form meridians, bones, and then the trunk and limbs. Complete Susanoo. A 200-meter black supergiant armored giant appeared in front of everyone. Sha Yuji and Gojo Satoru's eyes widened, with shock written all over their faces. What kind of technique is this? Susanoo suddenly swung his fist towards Natsu Yuji and Gojo Satoru, who were in third place. When the two of them saw this, they didn't dare to confront each other head-on, and simply pulled away. Susanoo's giant fist hit the ground. In an instant, the entire Conjuring College was crumbling under this punch. Several figures appeared on the roof of the building, looking in the direction of the playground. When they saw Susanoo's terrifying height, they were all shocked. I thought it was an unknown magic spirit attacking the magic specialist. Kamo Fujiju and Noctua Masamiki were the first to arrive at the scene. But when I saw Rosen on the edge of the playground, and then Susanoo in the middle of the playground, I felt a lot more relaxed. At this time, the playground was shattered to pieces by Jealousy's punch. Sha Yuji and Gojo Satoru were in a very embarrassed state at the moment. The impact of this punch was not small. Even if they were not hit head-on, they would still suffer a big impact. If there were no family members, it is estimated that they would have lost their fighting power by now. Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji looked at each other and formed seals with their hands at the same time. Virtual style. See. The ultimate whirlpool. This is their two strongest killing moves besides field expansion, and their expressions are very similar. They are two spheres rotating at high speed. The jealous Susanoo clasped his palms together and unleashed a super Earth exploding sky star. Susanoo condensed a black ball in his palm, and the ball was thrown high into the sky by Jealousy. When the black ball reached high altitude, it began to release a terrifying gravitational force. The Earth was torn apart, and at the same time, huge amounts of plates were attracted and pulled by the sphere in the sky, and then condensed around the sphere. Gojo Satoru, Natsu Yuji, and the airy glass were all pulled into the air by this force uncontrollably. No matter how hard they struggled, they could not break away from this gravitational pull. Finally, the three of them were completely embedded in the sphere in the sky, and then rock plates continued to be sucked up from below, and soon the three of them were completely covered. In the end, a huge celestial body of several thousand meters was formed, floating 10,000 meters in the air. Kamo Fujishu immediately ran to Rosen. Luo, what's going on? Kamo Fujiki's tone was quite harsh. He originally contacted the construction team to repair the playground today, but now the playground is not destroyed, but has completely disappeared, even the hills next to it have disappeared. Okay, this is a far-fetched repair. Didn't you ask me to test 3 new students? What about the 3 of them? Sealed. Rosen looked up at the sphere in the sky, raised his hand and fired a full-power laser. The celestial body instantly shattered, and the 3 new students fell together with countless rubbles. With everything in sight, Rosen stretched out his hand and pulled the 3 people in embarrassment in front of him. The rubble falling from the sky was also swallowed up by the jealous Yu Changtian. Rosen looked at the 3 people on the ground. Congratulations, you passed the entrance examination. At this moment, the 3 of them no longer have any pride or arrogance. Kamo Fujishu had a dark look on his face. You are not allowed to cast such large-scale spells in the future. He was really afraid that Rosen would come again and dismantle the magic college directly. Kamo Fujiki looked at Susanoo's jealousy again, and the jealousy quickly turned into a shadow and disappeared under Rosen's feet. Is this also your technique? This is my exclusive technique. Most people can learn the spells of a conjurer. The spells are unique, some are derived from one's own bloodline, and some are secretly passed down from the family. The spells taught by the Conjuration College are all open spells that anyone can learn. This is what most civilian spellcasters can learn and be exposed to. The requirements for exclusive spells are very high, and even spells that are unique to one person cannot be learned and mastered by others. For example, Gojo Satoru's Kang, He, and Chu, and Sha Yuji's curse spirit manipulation techniques, are all exclusive techniques that others cannot learn even if they want to. There is also no lower limit technique, which is a secret technique belonging to the Gojo family. Although other people can also learn it, only the 5 enlightenment methods have been mastered for hundreds of years. Kamo Fujishu was slightly disappointed when he heard this. The next day, 4 people, Panda, Gojo Satoru, Sha Yuji, and Ieri Glass, came to the class. They were the only 4 people in the whole class. Panda has now become the research object of Gojo Satoru, Sha Yuji and Ieri Glass. Panda, are you really a cursed corpse? Not a cursed spirit. Yes, I am really a cursed corpse. I was created by the teacher. Panda was really afraid of being torn down, so he quickly moved out of Rosen. It's really special. This is the first time I've seen a self-aware corpse. Rosen came late and entered the class yawning. Rosen glanced at the 4 students. Gojo Satoru, Sha Yuji, and Kairi Nia were all lying listlessly on the table. Only Panda was sitting upright, like the best student in the class. Do you need me to introduce myself? Rosen asked. Teacher, I don't know anything about you. Can you introduce yourself? Sha Yuji said. Okay, Rosen said. My name is Rosen. I don't know much about my family's past. I was born with these eyes, called the reincarnation eyes. Ability is. It was the first time for both Sha Yuji and Ieri Glass to hear Rosen talk about the ability of the Samsara Eye, so they were very shocked. This was the first time they heard that one family could possess so many magical and powerful spells. Teacher, you seem to have forgotten to introduce the golden eye on your forehead. Gojo Satoru said. Ah ha ha, I forgot. Rosen scratched his head awkwardly, and then the golden Sangana eye on his forehead opened. This eye is called the Sangsei Eye, and it is also a family lineage. The ability is similar to the Samsara Eye, but the power is 10 times stronger than the Samsara Eye. Sha Yuji, Ieri Glass and Gojo Satoru took a breath. It was 10 times more powerful than the reincarnation eye. Teacher, I want to see the strongest power of your reincarnation eye. It shouldn't be your full strength that day, right? Gojo Satoru said. A jade of seeking Tao condensed around Rosen, and Rosen stretched out his hand to hold the jade of seeking Tao. This is the jade of seeking the way. Only when you reach a certain level can you condense the jade of the seeking of the way. Any person, object, or cursed spirit will be decomposed if it comes into contact with the jade of the seeking of the way. Rosen said and looked at Gojo Satoru again, and the jade of the seeking of the way appeared again. Condensed into a golden lightsaber. The last move between me and you that day was called the Golden Wheel Reincarnation Explosion. It was made of the Tao-seeking jade condensed into a sword. Each time a Tao-seeking jade is added, the power will be doubled compared to the previous one. That day I used 3 Chudao Jade Golden Wheel Reincarnation Blasts, and I was able to condense a total of 12. You can use the simplest mathematical formula to calculate. If I use 12 Chudao Jade to cast Golden Wheel Reincarnation Blast that day, what effect will it have? Gojo Satoru felt his scalp numb at the moment. The Golden Wheel Reincarnation Explosion released by the 3 Tao-seeking Jade that day had leveled several surrounding mountains to the ground. If there are 4, the power will be doubled again. Until it is increased to 12, I am afraid that the entire country will be razed in an instant. The guy in front of me is definitely the most powerful magician in this era. As the Golden Wheel Reincarnation Blast Sensei's most powerful move. It is true that it is the most destructive, but if it is the strongest, it can only be regarded as one of the strongest. Rosen said. At this moment, the 4 students no longer had any doubts about Rosen's strength. Teacher, what is your field expansion? Sha Yuji asked. I haven't grasped the realm of unfolding yet. Ah, you are so strong, but you haven't understood the expansion of the field yet. Before I left the hermitage where I practiced asceticism, I had never come into contact with other conjurers, let alone the ability to expand the field. Everyone immediately understood, especially Gojo Satoru. Looking back on the day when they met Rosen, Rosen was indeed wearing ancient clothes and did not look like modern clothes. Therefore, Gojo Satoru suspected that Rosen might have been living in seclusion in some unknown place and rarely had contact with the outside world. However, judging from Rosen's words and deeds, and his knowledge of the Conjuration Academy, it seems that the place where he lives in seclusion is not completely closed, and he can still contact people outside, but the people he contacts should not be a conjurer, so I don't know field. Next, tell me what you want to learn. Teacher, shouldn't it be about what you can teach? For Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji, their original exclusive spells have allowed them to stand at the top, and they do not particularly need those open spells. Rosen looked at Ieri Glass. I will teach you a healing technique. It is not a reversal technique, but an ordinary technique. Are there any healing techniques other than reversal techniques in the magic world? Gojo Satoru asked in surprise. Since there are offensive spells, there are also healing spells. You don't know it because you haven't encountered them. It's not because they don't exist. Rosen looked at Sha Yuji again. I'll teach you the sealing technique so that you can more easily defeat the cursed spirit. Sha Yuji's exclusive technique is the cursed spirit manipulation technique, which requires the cursed spirit to be subdued but cannot be killed. Therefore, in many cases, even if the cursed spirit is weaker than him, he still needs to work hard to control the strength. Finally, there is Gojo Satoru. Rosen is really not sure about Gojo Satoru. Gojo Satoru seemed to have noticed something when he saw Rosen's troubled expression. He immediately grinned. Teacher, do you think you have nothing to teach me? It's not that I have nothing to teach you, but I'm thinking about whether I can let you master my eye skills. When Gojo Satoru heard this, he immediately became energetic. Rosen's Samsara Eye and Sansei Eye techniques made him jealous. His 6 eyes of heaven are known as the strongest bloodline, but compared with Rosen's Reincarnation Eye and Reincarnation Eye, it is a bit like a beggar's version. If one could master the magic of Rosen's eyes, not too many, just 1 or 2 abilities could make him wake up from his dreams with a smile. Rosen looked at Panda again. Panda, I will teach you physical skills and supporting techniques. Compared to other people's teachings, Gojo Satoru is the most troublesome. Satoru, I will use the transfer seal to transfer my pupil technique to your eyes. You cannot use this pupil technique at will, but you must understand and perceive the formula and operating principle of my pupil technique. Clear. Rosen is not sure whether he can succeed. After all, the eyes of both parties are different. What surprised Rosen was Panda. Although Panda was a cursed corpse, he also had spell power, and the power was not weak. And he can actually master the Flying Thor technique and Thunder Escape. If Pang Pang can master the Flying Thor technique and Thunder Release, then he can at least reach a level close to Gojo Satoru in the original plot. In fact, there are 2 consciousnesses in the panda's body, namely the orangutan brother and the triceratops sister. They are all the products of Noctua's past failure to create autonomous curses. The panda was successfully created by Noctua Jungdao using 2 failed cursed cores and adding some new cores. Although the panda is the main body, the consciousness of the orangutan brother and the triceratops sister still exists. To them, the panda is their little brother, and if the panda loses consciousness, they will temporarily take over control of the body. Moreover, they also have their own attributes, and Rosen is dedicated to teaching them. The entry into the family is the most gratifying. She seems to be born to eat this bowl of rice. Rosen also taught Jia Zion the art of sealing and the unparalleled power of magic. While ensuring her job, it also gives her strong combat effectiveness. Sha Yuji is relatively simple. The sealing technique is very suitable for him and there are no difficulties. In the past year, Rosen also helped Sha Yuji subdue 3 special level curse spirits, which made Sha Yuji even more powerful, increase in magnitude. Finally, there is Gojo Satoru. In 1 year, he has learned the Shinra Tensai, Wanxiang Tianyan and Genjutsu. Illusion is a perfect match for his domain expansion. Infinite space. The infinite space is to stuff a large amount of junk information into the enemy's brain in a very short period of time, causing a brief downtime to the person's brain. But now Gojo Satoru can use illusions to create even larger information. The strength of the 4 students has improved significantly in the past year. Next is the winter vacation homework I gave you. Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji, each of you will hunt 2 special level curse spirits. Niazi and Panda will hunt 2 special level curse spirits together. You must complete the assessment before the start of school next year. If you fail, then I will punish you in a special way. Teacher, can you tell me what the punishment is? I recently developed a brand new illusion called Tsukuyomi Space. For 3 days in Tsukuyomi Space, only 1 second will pass in the real world. I will use Tsukuyomi Space to let you experience 3 days and 3 days. The ravages of night. Everyone trembled, and they had no doubt that Rosen would do this. Chapter 71. For Rosen's winter vacation homework, the 4 of them traveled all over the country. Special level curse spirits are difficult to find. After all, special level curse spirits are intelligent and rarely stay in one place for a long time. For Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji, dealing with special level curse spirits is not a problem, the main thing is to cause trouble for special level curse spirits. The combat power of Kairi Niji and Pengda is also not weak, so it is not a problem for the 2 of them to work together to deal with a super level curse spirit. Kamo Fujishu found Rosen. Luo, what are your plans for this winter vacation? I don't have any plans. Rosen could tell that Kamo Fujishu had something to do with him. You have a lucrative job, do you want to relax? How much? Rosen asked. $100 billion, but our school will take 40% of the commission. Do you want me to kill the Prime Minister or the President of America? Rosen asked. Kamo Fujiki looked at Rosen with extremely speechless eyes. He was also the principal of the school after all. As for the job of contacting a killer. No. It's the Protector, 12 Tuya, the founder of Fengyu Group. Kamo Fujiki said. I want to know why he can offer this price. Even for Gojo Satoru, his bounty amount is only $100 million, which is already a sky-high bounty. The Gojo family's property is not smaller than that of Fengyu Group, and Gojo Satoru, the heir to the Gojo family, is not even worth $100 billion. This is the entire net worth of December Winter Night, Kamo Fujiki said. Rosen was waiting for Kamo Fujishu's next step. It was obviously impossible for a billionaire to directly spend all his wealth to hire bodyguards for security measures. 30 years ago, December Tuya made a deal with a magician. The magician used a spell called the Otome Nagihan to change December Tuya's fate. Let December Donye transform from an orphan with nothing to a billionaire. This kind of spell that changes one's destiny must come with a price, right? Yes, the Otome Nagi's soul can indeed change the fate. But after 30 years, the caster will take away the soul and lifespan of the recipient. This is the price. So now the conjurer is looking for December Winter Night to kill him. It is true that the conjurer wanted to take his life, but he did not do it himself. Oh, how is that? The conjurer announced that as long as he killed the person on December Winter Night, he would be able to obtain all his property. Rosen touched his chin, then silently raised his head and looked at Kamo Fujishu. Do you think it would be easier to kill December Donye? We are a specialist in magic, not a killer organization. It's okay if no one knows about it. I know a lot of spells, so it's easy to disguise myself as a killer. Okay, I have accepted this commission, so I will bother you to make a trip. Don't you really think about making this money in another way? Just do it quickly. There is absolutely no need to protect such a person who has no spirit of contract. Rosen said, dissatisfied. You are not the person involved, so you are not qualified to evaluate other people's behavior. Although Rosen looked down on the art of the Otome Naginata soul, he still despised the behavior of December Winter Night. It's snowing heavily in Hokkaido at the moment. Rosen walked into the snow-covered manor in front of him. The entire manor covers an area of dozens of acres, but only one person lives there. Rosen followed the man's breath and strolled into the manor. It has to be said that this billionaire is really afraid of death. He cannot live in the huge manor and hides in the underground shelter under the manor. This underground shelter was built 50 meters underground. Concealment is really concealment, but once discovered, there will be no way to escape. Rosen searched for a long time and finally found the entrance. First, the 4 shadow demons entered, and then Rosen and the shadow demons exchanged places. At this moment, he was enjoying a huge action movie in the underground shelter on a December winter night, when he suddenly felt a cold wind penetrate into the back of his neck, which made him jump up immediately. When he turned around, he saw a stranger appearing behind him. Ah! Rosen buttoned his ears and looked at the frightened December winter night. He. I am the killer who is here to take your life. Don't kill me, don't kill me. I will give you all my possessions. If I kill you, all those properties will belong to me. Rosen looked at the frightened middle-aged man in front of him. The winter night in December was completely despairing, and he sat slumped on the ground, with weakness written all over his face. I'm lying to you, I'm the bodyguard Kamo Fujishu hired to protect you. Rosen looked at the December winter night with a smile. December Donye raised his head and looked at Rosen blankly. Really? Fake, haha, fear, despair. Rosen laughed loudly. The winter night of December fell into despair again. All the negative emotions came flooding back to me. Just kidding, I'm actually a good person. Are you here to protect me, or are you here to kill me? It depends on your performance. Rosen said with a smile. If I successfully protect you, I can get $100 billion, right? Yes, as long as you can let me live past my birthday, I will give you $100 billion. I can get $100 billion if I kill you, Rosen said. December Donye's expression became stiff, and Rosen said again, so whether to kill you or protect you, it all depends on me. Before your birthday comes, you'd better not make me angry. For me, the $100 billion is the most important, and your life or death is not important. May I ask, what do you need me to do? Give me something to eat. Rosen said, I have come all the way, and I am so exhausted, and you don't know how to take care of others. On a winter night in December, I felt depressed. I was a billionaire. When had I ever served anyone else before? But now he couldn't dare to say no, so he could only serve Rosen honestly. This shelter is stocked with a lot of daily necessities. Then the two men ate and watched action movies. Can you survive just by having your birthday? Rosen asked. That's right. December Donye nodded. How long until your birthday? 2 weeks. Have you arranged any other safe houses? Isn't it possible here? Asked on a December winter night. I can find this place and come in silently. Do you think other conjurers can do it? I parked a yacht at sea. There was no one driving the yacht, so it kept sailing on a fixed route. December winter night said. Go to the yacht, Rosen said. Why? Because I haven't been on a yacht yet. The corners of December Donye's mouth twitched, and Rosen looked at December Donye with a cold expression. What? Do you have any objections? No. Come out. Outside the manor, the two magicians' eyes instantly locked on the car driving out of the manor. Are you sure you're in the car on a December winter night? Outside the manor, there were more than 2 magicians. Who wouldn't want a reward of 100 billion? Fuhaishir was standing on a tall building at the moment, and this tall building was more than 10 kilometers away from December Manor. Fuhaishir did not need to borrow any spells. He could see through a distance of more than 10 kilometers with his naked eyes, and even perceived the 2 smells in the car driving out of the December Manor. A breath is that of ordinary people, a December winter night. The other breath should be that of a conjurer. Fuhaishir touched the headset and said, Kong Xiu, do you know who is the bodyguard for December winter night? I don't know, but he also spent $100 billion to hire bodyguards. The magician who dares to accept this commission should be strong, so you'd better be careful. Kong Xiu is Fuhaishir's manager. All of Fuhaishir's entrustments are handled and negotiated by Kong Xiu. In addition to helping Fuhaishir accept the commission, Kong Xiu was also responsible for providing intelligence to Fuhaishir. It's really troublesome, can't you introduce me to a slightly easier job? Fuhaishir said dissatisfied. Haha, he says he doesn't like this kind of work, but he shows no mercy to the conjurer. Fuhaishir is the owner of the sky and the curse. This kind of curse is innate, and the owner of the sky and the curse is like a transaction of fate. He loses something and then gains something. Fuhaishir has lost the power of the spell, but at the same time he has gained unparalleled physical strength and beast-like perception ability. He is also naturally extremely resistant to spells. When others deal 100 damage, he can save 99% harm. This talent also makes him a magician killer, and almost no magician can defeat him. While Fuhaishir was communicating with Kong Xiu, the car was attacked on a winter night in December. A cursed spirit fell from the sky without warning and hit the car directly. This cursed spirit was like a mountain of meat, smashing the car to pieces in an instant. Fu Heixir stopped communicating and looked at the battlefield in the distance with burning eyes. Rosen's physique appeared outside the car on a December winter night. A tall conjurer stood in front of the road. At this time, the winter night in December was so frightened that his face turned pale with fear, and he was clutching the corner of Rosen's clothes tightly. Let me go quickly. How can I fight if you hold me like this? Rosen shook the hand of December Dongye several times but could not get rid of it. At this moment, December winter night was so frightened that he was confused and could only hold on to Rosen. Upon seeing this, the conjurer in front immediately launched an attack on Rosen and December winter night, controlling the Roshan-like curse spirit to attack Rosen and December winter night. Oops! Rosen's expression changed drastically, and he saw the fleshy palm of the Roshan curse spirit coming towards him. He had no time to dodge, and he was slapped away by the fleshy palm together with December winter night. How dare you take on the task of protecting the winter night in December with such skill? Fu Heixir's mouth twitched. Not only Fu Heixir thinks so, but all the magicians lying in ambush nearby think so. Seeing that Rosen and December Dongye were injured, they could no longer hold back. Once December Dongye was killed by others, they would not be able to get the reward. So they all took action at this time, not to attack December Dongye, but to attack the conjurer who came out first. Fu Heixir also rushed towards the battlefield at full speed. In order to hunt down the December winter night, nearly 100 magicians started a battle. Obviously their target, December Dongye, is not dead yet, but they can't wait to start fighting among themselves. In this melee, Fu Heixir's figure is particularly obvious. He is like a god of war, moving around and making killer moves. No magician is the enemy of Fu Heixir. Moreover, Fu Heixir's attack was too vicious. There was an ugly monster-like curse spirit lying on his shoulder. This curse spirit originally had no fighting power, but it was an extremely rare space-type curse spirit that could contain and take out various kinds of curse spirits, thing. And in his hands, he constantly changed the magic tools with different functions such as Tianibo, Samurai Soul Sword, Wanli Lock, and Yuyun. The Tenibo has the effect of forcibly disintegrating all spells, the Samurai Soul Sword can ignore any hardness and defense, the Wanli Lock can shrink in length at will, and one end can connect the Heavenly Conspiracy and the Samurai Soul Sword. Yuyun is a very special spell tool. For example, the Tenibobo and the Samurai Soul Sword both have original characteristics. Yuyun is a 3-section stick, but this Yuyun has no attributes. It is just a piece of unlimited power. A magic tool that increases physical attack. Of course, whether it is Tianibo, Samurai Soul Sword or Yuyun, they can only play their greatest role in the hands of the right people. Fu Heixir, the most powerful physical skill in the world of magic, did not bury the magic tool in his hand. In this battle, Fu Heixir truly showed the true face of the sky and the tyrant. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes, and nearly 100 magicians were killed by Fu Heixir. Fu Heixir wiped away the blood stains on the samurai soul knife, and then walked towards Rosen. There was blood at the corner of Rosen's mouth, and he blocked the December winter night in front of him. Sir, as long as you don't harm my employer, I can agree to any conditions you have. Rosen had a look of fear on his face. I don't like to give up on commissioned tasks midway, Fu Heixir said casually. December winter night already hated Rosen. At first, he really thought Rosen was a big shot. As a result, after walking out for less than a kilometer, he was immediately stunned and now he is still asking for the other party. Then if you kill him, you can't kill me again, Rosen said tremblingly. Fu Heixir's smile reached to his back molars. The smile was full of madness and arrogance. I refuse. The next moment, the samurai soul sword was already slashing towards Rosen. No, Rosen yelled in horror. Fu Heixir seemed to have seen the scene of Rosen being split into two by him. But the next moment, the soul samurai sword in Fu Heixir's hand stopped moving. Fu Heixir turned his head to look at Rosen in confusion. Ah, don't kill me. Rosen held the samurai soul saber blade with 2 fingers of his left hand, but there was still a look of horror on his face. Fu Heixir's face darkened, and he drew the knife hard, but found that it didn't twitch, so he suddenly raised his leg and kicked Rosen. But the next moment, Rosen suddenly grabbed Fu Heixir's neck. I said, don't kill me, don't you understand? Bang! Fu Heishier's leg kicked on Rosen's abdomen, but Rosen's body did not move at all. Fu Heishier looked at Rosen in confusion, with shock written all over his face. He knows very well how powerful he is. He is the only person in the entire world of magic who can tear apart special-level magic spirits with his hands. Use absolute power to disintegrate any carbon-based life form. Absolutely no life form can withstand his power. But now, his full kick failed to shake Rosen. Fu Heishier suddenly understood that Rosen was not a novice magician at all. He tried to free himself from Rosen's hand. But the power of that hand was greater than he imagined. There is a short thorn in Fu Heishier's hand, the sky is against the sky. He didn't believe there was anyone in this world who could be physically stronger than him. It must be that some kind of spell has been given to him, allowing him to increase his strength by huge amounts in a short period of time. Now, as long as he uses the Tenibo to disintegrate the opponent's spell amplification, he can win. Fusha Heiji stabbed Rosen's chest fiercely with the Teniboho. Bite! The Teniboho splashed a burst of sparks on Rosen's chest. Fu Heishier was stunned for a moment and looked at Rosen in astonishment. This is impossible. Has the Tenihoko failed? Or is there really someone in this world who can block his attack? Rosen suddenly threw Fu Heishier away, and Fu Heishier flipped around in midair and slid on the snow for more than 10 meters before he stopped. Rosen smiled brightly and raised his fingers. Come on, please me. Fu Heishier likes to kill magicians, but he will also give priority to completing the task. So Fu Heishier suddenly threw out the Wanli lock, one end of which was connected to the samurai soul sword, and the target was the December winter night. Flying Thor's technique. Reverse summon. The next moment, December Dongye's figure disappeared from the attack trajectory of the samurai soul sword. The moment December Dongye appeared next to Rosen, he knelt on the ground in pain, and then started spraying rainbows from his mouth. Without a strong body and the talent of time and space ninjutsu, forced teleportation is very painful. On a winter night in December, I felt like the spicy and sour snail noodles I had eaten the day before yesterday were about to turn into tiangong. Fu Heishier immediately pulled the Wanli lock, and the soul samurai knife at the end of the Wanli lock turned and struck towards Rosen. Rosen raised a finger and blocked it in front of the samurai soul sword. Hiss. The next moment, Rosen's finger was cut off directly. Severe pain spread all over Rosen's body. As expected of the samurai soul sword that can ignore any defense and hardness, his finger was not said to be immortal, but it was almost indestructible, but it was chopped off by the samurai soul sword. However, Rosen still felt the upper limit of this samurai soul sword. This samurai soul sword is a special grade curse tool, and it has 2 spells applied to it. One is armor breaking, and the other is soul eating. Every time the user kills an additional magician, the soul of the magician will be swallowed up by the soul samurai knife, and the armor piercing effect will be stronger. The samurai soul sword has been passed down for thousands of years, and now in the hands of Fu Heishier, the god of death, its armor breaking effect is incalculably powerful. Even Rosen's physical body couldn't withstand the attack of the soul samurai sword. Fortunately, I wasn't careless enough to try it directly with my own body. The chopped off finger immediately grew back. Fu Heishier suddenly withdrew the samurai soul sword and rushed towards Rosen with the handle in hand. Rosen grasped the palm of his hand and used the light escape Sky Kongyun sword. The golden lightsaber condensed in Rosen's hand. Chang! The samurai soul sword and the golden lightsaber collided together. Fusha Heishier failed to hit the target and was knocked away by Rosen. Fu Heishier stopped his body and walked around Rosen's front, then rushed forward again. Rosen waved the golden lightsaber at will, knocking Fu Heishier back again and again. Fu Heishier was still like a wild beast, constantly attacking Rosen and constantly looking for Rosen's flaws. At this moment, Fu Heishier became more and more frightened as he fought. When did such a terrifying conjurer appear in the world of magic? He had never seen or heard of it at all. However, as a magician killer, and also a jealous and greedy killer, Fusha Heishier was unwilling to give up easily. For money, Fu Hei even sells his body and joins his wife Fu Hei's family. Now that he has such wealth right in front of him, he is really not willing to retreat like this. Xiao Shen, you disappoint Mr. Luo very much. Fu Heishier gritted his teeth. This guy, who had clearly been able to kill all the spellcaster killers by himself before, had to pretend to be seriously injured. If I hadn't wasted a lot of energy before, I wouldn't be so passive now. Finally, after 30 minutes, Fu Heixir was so tired that he couldn't even straighten up. If it is an ordinary opponent, he can fight all day and all night without rest. But facing Rosen, he must use all his strength. With all his strength, he persisted for 30 minutes. This kind of staying power would be inferior to anyone else. But even with such a crazy offensive, Rosen remained calm and calm. For the entire 30 minutes, Rosen was so understated, diffusing his attacks again and again. Fu Heixir gasped for air. He had never experienced such a desperate battle. As worthy of being the tyrant of heaven and earth. In that case, let's use my strongest move to end this battle. Rosen shouted. The 8 desolate and Liuhe world-destroying world-shaking divine palms. Paji. Rosen slapped Fu Heixir on the face, and Fu Heixir was slapped away. This time Fu Heixir did not stand up again, and completely passed out on the snow. Go prepare another car. Rosen glanced at the December winter night. Yes. When Fu Heixir woke up, he found himself in the cabin of a ship. Fu Heixir rubbed his forehead, stood up and walked out of the cabin. He found that he was on a yacht, and Rosen was sitting on the stern of the boat fishing, with his back to him. A hint of murderous intent arose in Fu Heixir, but it was fleeting. With his beast-like keen perception, he realized that he would die if he took action. Fu Heixir stretched his waist, sat next to Rosen, and leaned lazily on the railing. Why didn't you kill me? Because I haven't had the pleasure of fighting you yet. I plan to improve your strength and then have another passionate battle. A ferocious smile appeared on Fu Heixir's face. Aren't you afraid of self-defeating? Rosen raised the fingers of his right hand and pointed it at the sea in front of him, using the light escape laser. The moment the laser was fired, the sea surface was instantly cut open. Although it only split the sea water into two for a short time, Fu Heixir still marveled at the terrifying power of this blow. If you want this result to be what you expect, you'd better work harder. If you think it's just self-righteous, I'm afraid the next time we fight, you will die. Then you can train me to your heart's content. My physique has unlimited possibilities. Fu Heixir was not depressed by this, but instead laughed wildly with excitement. There were constant sounds of collisions on the sea, and with each collision, an air shock would explode on the sea. The battle between Rosen and Fu Heixir has reached a point beyond the limits of the naked eye. Bang! Fu Heixir was hit in the chest by Rosen's punch, and then floated on the sea 100 meters away. Rosen landed lightly on the yacht, and it took a long time before he swam back to the yacht. As soon as he came back, Fu Heixir lay directly on the deck, breathing heavily. Rosen threw over a bottle of expensive red wine, and Fu Heixir bit off the cork and poured it directly into his mouth. You can only open the 3rd gate of the 8 gates of Dunjia. If you want to hurt me, you need to at least open the 8th gate. You are too far behind now. 8 gates. Fu Heixir was a little surprised. Every time he opened a door, his physical strength almost doubled. He only opened the 3rd door and his physical strength had already reached about 8 times. If you open the 8 doors, how powerful should you be? And the guy in front of me needs to open the 8 gates to hurt him, so how strong is he? So what exactly is your purpose? Rosen looked up at the sky and said calmly, I am a lonely and powerful man. I long to be defeated. Fu Heixir looked at Rosen with dead eyes. You are not that boring guy. Well, I just hope you won't be beaten to death by me so easily. It's also possible that you were beaten to death by me. Fu Heixir still didn't give up the idea of killing Rosen. Oh haha, then you have to work hard. Suddenly, Fu Heixir sat up suddenly and spit out the red wine that had entered his stomach. Rosen took a few steps back, looking disgusted. This wine is poisoned, Fu Heixir said. Rosen was a little surprised and immediately entered the cabin. Then I saw you lying on the sofa on a December winter night. Everything seemed normal and his breathing was normal, but his mental energy was very low and he seemed to have entered a deep coma. Rosen stepped forward and lifted December Dongye's wrist. Fu Heixir also walked into the cabin, and then saw green light coming from Rosen's hand. Can your reversal technique heal others? It's not that Fu Heixir has never seen magicians who use reverse spells to treat other people, but usually they are healers who specialize in healing spells. Under Rosen's treatment, he suddenly vomited a rainbow on a December winter night. Xiao Shen, are there any magicians in the surrounding waters? Rosen thinks that his perception ability is already very strong, but compared with Fushihei Shire, there is still a slight gap. What Fuhei Shire relies on is not perception, but intuition, just like the intuition of a beast. Fuhei Shire closed his eyes and opened his eyes after careful perception. I found a blue whale nearby. This blue whale has been active nearby for the past 3 days. I suspect that there is a magician hiding in the blue whale. Maybe this blue whale is a magic spirit. There are all kinds of strange spirits in the world of magic, and their abilities are also incredible. Controlling a blue whale is not a strange thing. Rosen was a little surprised. He really didn't expect Fuhei Shire to be able to make judgments about details that he didn't discover or wasn't aware of. Rosen naturally perceived the blue whale, but he just didn't expect that the magician would be hidden in the body of another creature. Rosen came to the deck and looked at the rough sea ahead. Fuhei Shire also walked to the deck and watched Rosen raise his arms. All things are attracted by heaven. The next moment, a blue whale 3,000 meters away was pulled directly out of the sea by Rosen. Fuhei Shire took a breath. Rosen was stronger and more dangerous than he imagined. If he fights Rosen, he will not be safe within 3,000 meters. Such a large combat radius will almost make most of his attack methods ineffective. Only Wanli Suo can attack the opponent, and Wanli Suo's attack power is very weak and has almost no lethality against opponents of Rosen's level. Rosen was also quite strenuous. At a distance of 3,000 meters, the target was still a blue whale of nearly 300 tons. The key was that the opponent was still hidden in the seawater 1,000 meters below. Rosen wants to pull the opponent out without pulling out the surrounding sea water together. This requires not only strength, but also precise enough control. Suddenly, the huge amounts of blue whale exploded without warning, and countless pieces of meat sputtered out in the sky. At the same time, dozens of people were ejected from the blue whale's body. Rosen and Fuhei Shire were surprised but not too surprised when they saw this scene. They are from the Penxing sect, Fuhei Shire said. Are you sure? Don't you say that Penxing sect's followers are all ordinary people? Rosen was a little surprised. The followers of the Penxing sect are a group of ordinary people, but they are also the richest group of people, so they raise many dead soldiers. Fuhei Shire is very familiar with the Penxing sect. There have been many collaborations. In the original plot, his last mission was to assassinate the astral body for the Penxing cult. It's really scary. I don't want to face these lunatics, Rosen said. After Fuhei Shire heard this, he immediately began to move his hands and feet, preparing to take action. But he saw Rosen clasping his hands together, and the secret technique was Qian Shishao. At this time, fins appeared one after another on the sea, and sharks as big as file size appeared in the nearby waters. Fuhei was very surprised, with a bit of envy in his eyes. He hates magicians and has always been ruthless towards magicians. And all his hatred stems from his lack of spell power. He was born in the Yusan family's Zhen Yuan family, but he was a member of the Zhen Yuan clan without any magic power. One can imagine his treatment and situation within the clan. The more a person lacks something, the more he desires something. This is the case with Fuhei Shire. The sky and the curse gave him a powerful body, but also made him a person with zero curse power. The next moment, thousands of sharks suddenly jumped out of the water, targeting all the magicians in the nearby sea. Even among the magicians flying in midair, there were some sharks with extremely exaggerated shapes leaping into the air. In an instant, the entire sea area was reduced to a meat grinder, and the water was dyed red with blood. Most magicians are not necessarily more powerful than animals in nature. Especially this is not their home court yet. Screams continued one after another, and some spellcasters tried to escape from this bloody hell. But how can their speed keep up with the shark's pursuit speed? Soon, there was no longer a living conjurer in the entire sea area. In the next few days, they encountered incoming conjurer killers every day. In the past few days, Rosen killed hundreds of magician killers. I have to lament that the attraction of $100 billion is really too great. No matter strong or weak, everyone rushes to die. At the beginning, Rosen would take action himself, but gradually he was too lazy to take action and directly asked Fuhei Shire to take action, which also trained his physical skills. In the Curse College, Kamo Fujiki dialed Gojo Satoru's phone number. Gojo Satoru, can you contact your teacher? No, I just called him today and he is not in the service area. Gojo Satoru said. This is bad. Gojo Satoru felt the worry in Kamo Fujiki's tone, and couldn't help but asked curiously, Principal, what happened? Wrong. All wrong. What's wrong? Luo accepted a commission to protect December Winter Night. Oh, I know this. Gojo Satoru said, after all, the incident of December Winter Night is very famous in the entire magic world. Many people have joined in the hunt for the December Winter Night. Gojo Satoru has his own intelligence network, so he naturally knows about this. Do you know who is offering the bounty on December Winter Night? Didn't you say that he was the conjurer who used the Otome Naginata soul technique? Why does that magician give out $100 billion? Who offered the reward? It's December Tuya himself, Kamo Fujishu said. What's going on? December Tuya was once an orphan, and he has been manipulated all his life. Kamo Fujishu said. His parents were killed by others in order to make December Tuya an orphan. Moreover, his parents were the sacrifices that changed his destiny, and then his birthday was changed by the magician in the orphanage. Quote. Hiss. Gojo Satoru understood instantly. So, December Tuya is already dead. Yes, but he should have noticed before he died, so he put a reward on himself. This may be his revenge on the magician. It's okay. If it's a teacher, there won't be any problem. Gojo Satoru said. No, it's not that simple. Kamo Fujiki said. The magician took over the identity of December Tuya and activated the second Otominagi spirit. What's wrong with this? Those magician killers who are chasing him will all become sacrifices for the soul of the Otome Nagi. Gojo Satoru immediately understood the seriousness of the matter. Whatever price you pay, you will get what kind of reward. This is the basic principle of magic. On a December Winter Night, the lives of both parents were sacrificed in exchange for their son's career. And now the lives of dozens or even hundreds of magicians are being offered as sacrifices, so how huge are the conditions in exchange? The life of December Winter Night was undoubtedly tragic. His life had been manipulated ever since he was targeted by the magician, and even his birthday was misled. In the end, the wealth he worked hard for all his life was robbed, and even his identity was robbed. Even his last wish, the reward issued with his wealth, may be to make a wedding dress for his enemy. Isn't there a teacher in the school who is good at divination? Of course there is, but Luo is too powerful. Even if the divination teacher exhausts his spell power, he can't divine where Luo is now. Teacher is the strongest. A guy who relies on robbing other people's lives cannot defeat him. Gojo Satoru was full of confidence in Rosen. The yacht drifted on the sea for more than 10 days. Rosen and Fuheshir also fought for more than 10 days. Rosen counted the time and it was already the 14th day. Mr. December, do we have to settle the commission? Rosen sat on the sofa in front of December's Winter Night. December Winter Night looked at Rosen. Different from the submissive attitude when they first met, December Winter Night now had an aura of calmness and dignity. On a winter night in December, his fingers tapped on the armrest. Mr. Luo, how much do you think is appropriate? Of course it's $100 billion, Rosen said matter-of-factly. I thought about it, and the price I offered was too high. December Donye said. I think so too, Rosen said in agreement. So after careful consideration, I decided to refuse to pay this commission. December Donye said. Fuheshir stood beside Rosen, looking at the December Winter Night with some surprise. Where does this guy get his courage? How dare you break your promise in front of Rosen? This guy has been with Rosen for more than 10 days. It's not like he has never seen Rosen's strength. How dare he break his promise? Does he think Rosen is some kind of good man? Rosen sighed and looked at Fuheshir. Sure enough, where can you make money so easily in this world? Xiao Shen, where can you get the reward for killing him? Just take his body to the dark web. If necessary, I can do it for you, but I will take a 5% commission. The two of them pretended that December Winter Night did not exist and discussed killing him. Suddenly, a huge mouth of the abyss appeared directly below the yacht. The yacht is directly above the mouth of the abyss. The comparison is like a toy boat in the mouth of a crocodile. The December winter night in the cabin suddenly pointed to the sky, and at the same time the magic power on his body burst out instantly. The next moment, the huge mouth of the abyss suddenly rose upwards and swallowed the yacht into its mouth. Rosen carried Fuhashir, flew into the air, and looked directly below. 8 snake heads protrude from the sea, each of which is tens of meters long, and the snake's neck is more than 200 meters long. Special grade curse spirit, Yamata no Orochi. Fuhashir's face showed a look of astonishment. This Yamata no Orochi is not only a special grade curse spirit, but its 8 heads, all of which are special grade curse spirits. At this time, December winter night appeared above one of the snake heads. It's just that at this moment, his face is dissolving, revealing another strange blue-white face, and at the same time, the magic power on him is pouring out like a torrent, even compared to the yaki at his feet. Thanks to you, I sacrificed so many conjurers, otherwise, I really wouldn't be able to wake up this guy. December winter night said proudly. Aren't you December winter night? Haha, what do you think? Are you the conjurer who cast the Otome Nagi soul jutsu on December Tuya? Fushiguro looked at the December Tuya in front of him. He. I am not a magician, I am Oshima. In mythology, Oshima is a monster on the sea. If fishermen have not harvested anything for 7 days, they will encounter Oshima on the sea. Oshima would trade a year's harvest with fishermen for a year's life. But in reality, Oshima is a special curse spirit. Thank you so much for helping me kill so many conjurers so that I can summon Baki and have such huge spell power. Oshima's exclusive spell is the Otome Nagihan. He did not make a deal with December Donye, but with his parents. Parents on December Donye sacrificed their lives in exchange for their children's future success. And December Tuya always thought that he had made a deal with Oshima. And before the deal deadline was approaching, Oshima deliberately let December Tuya know part of the truth, in order to let him hire a magician killer to kill him. The Otomanagi soul cannot be sacrificed by someone tricked by the magician. It must first be a voluntary sacrifice. The so-called employment on December winter night was actually a contract. When those magician killers accepted the employment, they accepted the contract. Of course, what he didn't expect was that he could actually invite a powerful spellcaster like Rosen. Rosen saved him most of the trouble. He didn't even need to take action himself to achieve his highest expectations. Hundreds of conjurers died at Rosen's hands. Oshima's spell power has also reached an unprecedented level, even reaching the upper limit of his spell power, and there are many more sacrifices. Originally, reviving Yamata no Orochi was not part of his plan. However, the art of Otome Naginata couldn't be stopped, so he could only use the extra sacrifices to awaken Yamata no Orochi. It's such a wonderful feeling, it feels so good to sit back on yourself. Oshima opened his arms, his weird face showing a look of madness. Rosen lowered his head and glanced at Fuhashir, who was being carried by him. Do you want to compete? How to compare? Fuhashir asked. I'll deal with the big ones, you deal with the small ones, and we'll see who can deal with our targets first. What about the bet? If you win, I will teach you a new taijutsu. What if I lose? What will I have to pay? Do me a small favor in the future. According to legend, the Yamato no Orochi cannot be eliminated by conventional means. It can only be eliminated by cutting off its 8 heads at the same time with the Tiankongyan sword. Fuhashir was reminding Rosen. Although he knew that Rosen was very strong, this Yamata no Orochi was not weak either. And Yamata no Orochi can be said to be the strongest curse spirit. Do you need me to give you a ride? Rosen asked. What? Fuhashir hadn't yet understood what Rosen meant by giving him a ride, and the next moment he had a premonition that something bad was going to happen. Rosen suddenly launched Fushigi-shir towards Oshima. After Fushigiro's initial panic, he immediately adjusted his posture in the air and slashed at Oshima with the samurai soul sword. Oshima grinned, showing his fangs. Spells and orders intersect. The samurai soul sword in Fushigi-shir's hand suddenly disappeared and appeared in Oshima's hand. Oshima raised the knife and struck Fushigi-shir. Fushigiro's pupils suddenly shrank, and he suddenly changed his posture in the air to avoid Oshima's attack. At the same time, Fuhashir felt that magic power actually appeared in his body. This is Oshima's magic, using the power of magic to force transactions with the enemy. And the spell has no use for him. Fuhashir quickly changed his tactics, and his supersensory reaction nerves responded as quickly as a cheetah. Just like the power of the spell is useless against Fushahashir, the samurai soul sword is also useless in Oshima's hands. It's a pity that Fuhashir has nothing else that can be forcibly traded except for the magic tools. If replaced by ordinary spellcasters, their exclusive spells would be forcibly traded away by Oshima. Although Fuhashir lost the samurai soul sword, he still had other spell tools, so his combat power was not greatly affected. Oshima was beaten back and forth, and his close combat skills were completely suppressed by Fushiguro Shiji. Oshima felt that if he kept fighting like this, he might lose, so he immediately changed his hands and crossed his fingers. The realm expands. Life and death are at stake. An open area of the same color as the sea and sky spread out from Oshima's feet. Fuhashir immediately felt extremely dangerous. As a tyrant of heaven and earth, he often fights with spellcasters, so he naturally understands the development of the field very well. The sure hit effect of domain expansion is also the effect he fears the most. The sky and the curse make him extremely resistant to most spells, but he has no resistance to the sure hit effects of domain expansion. Tennis Hoko. Fushahashir's whole body burst into green light instantly, and he held the tennis hoko and suddenly pierced the line between the sea and the sky at his feet. In an instant, Oshima's domain expanded, but before it could fully expand, it was forcibly closed. To counter the expansion of the field, one must either neutralize it with a simple field, or destroy the field directly. Oshima's knees softened and he knelt directly on the head of Yamada no Orochi. The expansion of his domain was disrupted, which directly caused the meltdown of his technique. The next moment, Fuhashir launched an offensive like a violent storm. Hundreds of punches and kicks erupted in 1 second. Oshima's body was instantly shattered. But Oshima's body was back to normal again, even the fuse was completely restored. The leftmost snake head of Yamada no Orochi suddenly exploded, and then the Yamada no Orochi broke its neck and grew a new snake head. Oshima is exchanging his injuries with Yamada no Orochi, and Yamada no Orochi is not afraid of any injuries. Even if its head is cut off, it can recover immediately. Fuhashir glanced at Rosen from the corner of his eye, a look full of deep resentment. His eyes seemed to be saying, "Why don't you do it quickly?" If it was just Oshima, he would have solved it long ago. But with the addition of Yamada no Orochi, he really couldn't stand it. There is nothing Fushahei can do about an infinitely resurrected enemy like Yamada no Orochi. Rosen opened his pure eyes to observe the Yamato no Orikima. Especially after its snake head grew back, Rosen observed the trajectory of the Yamato Orikima's spell power. Finally, Rosen understood why Yamada no Orochi said it could not be killed, and why it was called the strongest special level curse spirit. Because Yamada no Orochi possesses techniques similar to unlimited techniques. If Rosen were to give it a name, it should be called the infinite reversal technique. Moreover, Yamada no Orochi has 8 heads, 8 souls, and shares 1 body. This makes his infinite flip warlock nearly impossible to break. Even the heavenly rebellion cannot break it. Like Fushiguro, even if one of the infinite reversal spells is broken with Teniboho, the other heads can be restored. This is the most buggy thing about Yamada no Orochi. In myths and legends, Susanoo holds the Amankong unsword and kills the Yamato no Orochi, so the magic technique of this legendary Amkong unsword should be a suppressing technique. Anyway, Rosen's light escape and Tien Kong Yun sword certainly don't have this function. Rosen suddenly thought whether he could also learn the infinite reversal technique. After all, the 4 shadow demons all have independent thinking and are linked to Rosen, so from a certain perspective, they are very similar to Yamada no Orochi. At this moment, one of the snake heads of Yamato no Orochi suddenly bit Fushahei Shire. Rosen's eyes narrowed, a lightsaber formed in his hand, and he slashed at the snake's head. "Your opponent is me, please respect me. Ho ho ho." The remaining heads of Yamada no Orochi roared at Rosen. Rosen grinned, and the golden reincarnation eye on his forehead opened. 6 paths and 10 tails mode. The next moment, Rosen's whole body began to swell. At the same time, terrifying spell power poured out crazily. Immediately afterwards, a 10,000-meter giant beast suddenly fell into the sea. The body length of Yamada no Orochi is only 1,000 meters at most. For all humans, this 1,000-meter body is already a giant. Now, the figure of this 10,000-meter giant beast is even more huge amounts of incredible. In front of this giant beast, Yamada no Orochi is no different from a small loach. This is Rosen's 10 tails mode. If it were the 10 tails in the wild state, it would have a supergiant body shape of 100,000 meters. After being sealed into the golden reincarnation eye, Rosen felt that the quality of the 10 tails chakra was not solid enough. After several years of quenching, the size of the 10 tails shrunk from 100,000 meters to 10,000 meters, but the quality of the chakra was even more solid. Reality. Fuhashir looked at Rosen in shock. He was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Oshima was so frightened that he shivered. Rosen's 10-tailed form was really scary, especially his aura, which was 100 times more terrifying than Yamada no Orochi. The 10 tentacle tails on Rosen's back turned into 10 giant hands, grabbed the Yamato Noriki, then stuffed it directly into his mouth, chewed it and swallowed it. Even if Yamada no Orochi possesses infinite reversal spells, its spell power will continue to be consumed. So the most direct way is to eat it and then let its infinite reversal technique fight against your own stomach acid. Sure enough, after the Yamato no Orochi was swallowed by the 10 tails, it began to struggle crazily, attacking and struggling crazily in the 10 tails' belly. However, its struggle did not last long. After all, the power of Yamada no Orochi's curse is limited, and it is impossible for it to achieve true immortality. For example, Gojo Satoru needs to improve his unlimited spells. Although Yamato no Orochi is powerful, and even the total spell power of the 8 snake heads exceeds Gojo Satoru, it still cannot resist the stomach acid of the 10 tails. Rosen was in 10 tails mode at the moment, turning his head and looking at Fushiguro Shiji and Oshima. Xiao Shen, it looks like I won. Fuhashir looked at Oshima, who turned around and wanted to run away. But the next moment, a big hand came over and sent Oshima flying backwards. Fuhashir faced Oshima with an iron mountain shot. Rosen returned to his human form and burped. Watching Fushiguro beat Oshima violently, and was beaten beyond recognition before being sealed into a scroll by Rosen. Give me a hand. Fuhashir was soaking in the sea water. Rosen T flew in the direction of the coastline. On the way, Fuhashir couldn't help but ask, "Are you a magician or a magician?" "Spell master, a cursed spirit is sealed in my body." Rosen was not in a good mood. After all, he had just lost a big deal worth $100 billion. As soon as he returned to the coastline, Rosen's phone rang. "Ha, teacher, it looks like your matter has been resolved." Gojo Satoru's frivolous voice came from the phone. Rosen had a dark look on his face. "You know, the principal told me that he has been contacting you these days, but he just can't get in touch. Don't mention my sadness again. Do you know how much I paid to maintain world peace? Want to hear the details? I don't want to talk about it, I want to think about how to make up for the loss. The National Bank of Tokyo, where 400 tons of gold are stored." "Satoru, who do you think your teacher is?" Rosen still wanted to be involved in the magic world, and he didn't want to become someone who was hated by people and ghosts. "Then I have no choice, unless you can resurrect December Donye, and then ask him to tell you the bank account password." When Rosen heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. "That's right, just let December Donye tell yourself no." Rosen dropped Fuhashir and fell to the ground himself. "Take out the seal scroll, release Oshima's seal, and take out part of December Tuya's body tissue. Go to the sea and help me catch some bigger fish." "What are you going to do?" Fuhashir asked curiously. "Give Death God a gift." Fuhashir looked confused, but he still went to the sea to pick up a big shark and threw it in front of Rosen. Rosen began to form seals, the secret method, the art of reincarnation from dirty soil. As Rosen pressed his palms to the ground, runes formed a 3-layer circle around the body of the big shark. The next moment, the black substance enveloped the big shark, and the big shark's body began to squirm, and finally turned into a human form. Fuhashir looked at the person who was gradually taking shape, on a December winter night. December winter night looked around in confusion, and then at his hands. Am I not dead?" "No, you're dead, look at that." Rosen pointed at Oshima's body. "He's dead. Did you kill him?" "Yes, now it's time for you to fulfill your promise. Get the commission of $100 billion, your bank card number and password." Walked up to Oshima's body on a December winter night. Looking left and right, I finally determined that this was the enemy who had harmed my life and finally taken away my identity. Then December Dongye finally showed a satisfied smile and readily revealed his bank card number and password, as well as his various invisible properties. Rosen lifted the reincarnation of the dirty earth on a December winter night, and Fu Heishir was already dumbfounded. What kind of spell is that? Reincarnation in the dirt. If you die in the future, do you want to experience it? There is no one who can kill me yet. Fu Heishir could no longer say what he said after that, because Rosen was looking at him with burning eyes. He felt that if he said what he said next, Rosen might really want to try and see if no one could really kill him. Help me sell all the assets on December winter night, transfer 35% of the commission to the Tokyo Conjuring High School, convert 60% into gold, and the remaining 5% will be used as your service fee. Fu Heishir readily agreed and even considered whether he should swallow the money. Rosen patted Fu Heishir on the shoulder. Try and see if I can find you. Even if you go to hell, I can find you. Fu Heishir instantly gave up the idea of monopolizing the commission. Facing Rosen, he was really a little timid. Back at school, Kamo Fujiki immediately came to the door. Luo, how are you? It's all solved. Where's the conjurer? It's not a magician, it's Oshima, a special magic spirit. I beat him to death. A lot of people have died in the killer world recently, were they all killed by you? Kamo Fujiki asked tentatively. Any questions? With so many killers all becoming sacrifices, to what extent will Oshima's strength expand? It's okay, it's not particularly strong. Kamo Fujishu asked many details, but Rosen's answer was casual. Fu Heishir spent a week sending the commission to Rosen. In the following days, Rosen began to study the infinite reversal technique. Compared with the endless spells and field expansion that have no clue, the advancement of the infinite reversal technique is surprisingly fast. Satoru, have you finished your winter vacation homework? Not yet, what should I do? Gojo Satoru was a little surprised that Rosen would take the initiative to call him. I just developed a new technique and I need you to try it out. What technique? Gojo Satoru also became interested. Infinite reversal technique, Rosen said. When Gojo Satoru heard the name of this technique, he immediately said, I'll be back now and I'll be there in the afternoon. Gojo Satoru is now more than 1,000 kilometers away from Tokyo. Even if he can accelerate back through the teleportation of the 6 eyes of the sky, he cannot return to the Magic Academy instantly. His longest teleportation distance is only 100 kilometers, and it requires a lot of magic force. However, in order to experience Rosen's infinite reversal technique, he still rushed back without any trouble. Teacher, how can I cooperate with you? Attack me with your strongest move. Teacher, are you sure? If your technique fails, your life will be at risk. Absolutely no problem, come on. Seeing that Rosen was so confident, Gojo Satoru could only follow Rosen's request. After retreating 10 meters away, Gojo Satoru raised his right arm and made a pistol movement. Virtual style. See, the gravity ball and the repulsion ball integrate with each other to form a violent energy ball. Call out. Gojo Satoru did not hold back this blow and injected all the magic power into it. The terrifying energy ball shot through the air towards Rosen. Rosen immediately released all states except the infinite reversal spell. The next moment, Rosen's entire body was swallowed up by the energy ball. The shock wave spread in all directions, leaving a large crater tens of meters on the ground. Gojo Satoru saw the bloody body floating above the pit, with a bit of pride on his face. It seems that his attack is still very effective. At this time, Rosen's body began to self-heal rapidly. How's it going? Was it successful? Gojo Satoru asked. The self-healing just now was not the effect of the infinite reversal spell, it was my body's own recovery. Rosen shook his head in disappointment. The effect of the infinite reversal spell should be that the main body loses consciousness, and then the shadow demon launches the reversal spell to heal the main body's injuries. Although Gojo Satoru's attack was violent and terrifying, it was not enough to make him lose consciousness in one blow. What should we do? You rest for an hour, and after the spell is fully restored, hit my head face to face. Gojo Satoru's eyes widened. Teacher, are you sure? Certainly, although the attack just now was Gojo Satoru's strongest attack. However, he just attacked Rosen's whole body, and he was not arrogant enough to kill Rosen instantly. But now he wants to show his face to Rosen. If he is not careful, he might blow Rosen's head. There are risks in developing any technique, and I'm not completely unsure. Okay then. Seeing Rosen's insistence, Gojo Satoru said nothing more. An hour later, Gojo Satoru had almost recovered and came to Rosen again. Teacher, I can't guarantee that you will survive this blow. Bring it on. Rosen felt it not only relieved all his states, but even completely sealed the chakra. Gojo Satoru once again activated the Kyushu style, and crazy energy balls bombarded Rosen's head. The next moment, Rosen's head disappeared. Gojo Satoru's pupils shrank and he looked at Rosen's body in surprise. At this moment, Rosen's 4 shadow demons automatically activated the infinite reversal spell. Rosen's head grew visibly. It's done. Gojo Satoru stared at this scene with wide eyes and disbelief. Really successful. This was the first time he had seen such a powerful reversal technique. The common reversal technique is to treat trauma. A more powerful reversal technique can regenerate a severed limb. Gojo Satoru's reversal technique is at the level of rebirth of a severed limb. There is also a more powerful reversal technique that can completely heal even damaged internal organs. Liangmian Sanuo possesses such a powerful reversal technique. Now Rosen's reversal technique can actually regrow the head even if it is gone. This is almost impossible. Because the brain is where all the techniques are stored, once the brain is destroyed, the foundation of the techniques will be gone. How can the reverse technique be activated again? But Rosen was able to break this limit, which was really incomprehensible to Gojo Satoru. Rosen touched his head, which was intact. He checked his chakra consumption again and found that he had lost 10% of his chakra. It seems that the cost of repairing the head is much higher than expected, but this technique is really very practical, and it simply adds a few more lives. How did you do this? Gojo Satoru asked. Rosen began to talk about his encounter with Yamada no Orochi and the inspiration he found in Yamada no Orochi. Gojo Satoru was a little disappointed when he heard this. After all, he didn't have Shadow Demon, and Shadow Demon was Rosen's exclusive technique. He couldn't learn it even if he wanted to. This infinite reversal technique that allows the head to grow back is really eye-catching. Just as Gojo Satoru coveted Rosen's infinite reversal technique, Rosen also coveted Gojo Satoru's unlimited technique and field expansion. After school started, all 4 students completed their winter vacation homework, and everyone had their own highlights. It can be seen that during the winter vacation, they have grown significantly again. Needless to say, Gojo Satoru was already a special level student when he entered school, and now he is almost among the pyramids in the world of magic. Shayuji also has special level strength, but it can be clearly felt that there is still some gap between Shayuji and Gojo Satoru, and he should be in the middle level among special level ones. However, after Rosen's teachings, plus his more than a year's time, using the magic spirit manipulation technique to obtain several special level curse spirits, he is now in the special level upper zone. Pang Da's current strength is considered to be a quasi-super level. If he explodes with all his strength, he can reach the super level in a short time. It is difficult to define the strength of Ie no Shiko. She was originally good at reversal spells, which is an auxiliary type, and her combat power should be at the level of a first-level magician. And if she teams up with Pang Da, she can greatly improve Panda's combat power. But if she is teamed up with spellcasters of Gojo Satoru and Shayuji's level, it will be difficult for her to show her personal value. As long as they can learn, or what they want to learn, Rosen will teach them. The next year, Rosen began to try to improve their spell power. As a magician, the power of magic is the foundation of everything. The third year is to improve their physical skills, so as to ensure that they can still have fighting ability after their spell power is exhausted or the spell is broken. And in 3 years, Rosen still failed to master unlimited techniques and domain expansion. However, the Shunk domain has been initially established, and Rosen can now pull the enemy into his Shunk domain. There is no lower limit to the technique. Rosen has mastered its operating principle, and then he needs to try it again and again. During this period of time, Gojo Satoru even improved an unlimited technique. In the original plot, Gojo Satoru improved the unlimited technique after being killed by Fushiguro. He improved the unlimited technique. It was originally an activated type and would only be activated when needed. Now Gojo Satoru may have been affected by Rosen's infinite reversal spell, changing the unlimited spell to permanent duration, and greatly reducing the continuous mantra consumption. The improved no lower limit technique should be called infinite no lower limit technique. In 3 years, Kamo Fujiki left the Magic College and returned to the Kamo family. Noctua becomes the new principal of the Magic College. Noctua Masamiki is not inferior to Kamo Fujiki in terms of strength or ability. In addition, his character is upright, so when Kamo Fujiki recommended Noctua Masamiki, he received the support of almost all the teachers. Of course, those who do not support it are the senior group of elders representing all forces. In order to support his friends, Rosen visited them one by one, talked to them, and asked them to open their hearts. In the process, the 2 elders committed suicide in shame and anger because they were so ashamed and unwilling to live in this world. Teacher, Jay and I may not be able to go to class this week. Gojo Satoru called. What's wrong? The Conjurers Association has arranged a task for Jay and me. Rosen's heart moved slightly. Is it to protect the astral body? Teacher, do you also know? Well, complete the mission well. If you don't want to send the astral body to the astral palace after the mission is over, then send it to me. The 2 biggest black hands in the world of magic are Hua Kangsuo, the millennium-old magic spirit brain, and Tian Yuan, the supreme controller of the Magic Masters Association. The astral body is the container used to reincarnate Tianyuan, which can also be said to be the body. Tianyuan is the most special existence in the world of magic. He possesses the most special spell, the immortal spell. Rosen was not interested in Tianyuan's technique at all. On the one hand, Rosen's own condition is far better than Tianyuan's. Secondly, Tianyuan's immortality technique has huge amounts of flaws and hidden dangers, and the container needs to be constantly replaced. Tianyuan is very much like an inferior version of Hishindao. Teacher, that astral plasma is. When the mission is over, it's up to you and Jia to decide. A mere astral body, her life and death has nothing to do with me. Gojo Satoru said disapprovingly. After hanging up the phone, Gojo Satoru looked at the astral body, Riko Tenuki, who was arguing with Shayuji not far away. Although they had only been in contact for a short while, Gojo Satoru had already felt how unruly Riko Tenai was. Hey, tell me, that guy over there with super weird bangs, where's the ice cream I want? Riko Tenuki looked at Gojo Satoru and asked. Gojo Satoru had a dark look on his face. Shayuji looked at Gojo Satoru and suddenly burst out laughing. Haha, that guy over there with super weird bangs. Shut up, how good do you think your hair is? Neither Gojo Satoru nor Natsuyuji liked Tenuki Riko. But on the second day, they discovered that Riko Tenuki was not as unruly as she seemed. She just wanted to suppress her inner fear in strange ways. She knew her identity and knew that she was about to become the vessel of the legendary Lord Tianyuan. She just wanted to experience the world as much as possible in the last few days. Unknowingly, Gojo Satoru and Shayuji felt the hesitation and uneasiness in Tenai Riko's heart. This also made the 2 of them begin to doubt their mission, or in other words, Tian Yuan's justice. Then a large number of killers appeared, leaving them no time to think about these problems. After a few days of getting along, Gojo Satoru and Shayuji both developed some feelings for Tenuki Riko. It doesn't have to be the relationship between brother and sister, it can also be the relationship between brother and sister or other relationships. In the day, Riko found all the reasons to delay the time, and finally had to go to the Star Palace. When stepping onto the stairs in front of the Hoshi Palace, Tenuki Riko became silent again. As long as she steps into the palace above in half an hour, she will no longer be her. Maybe dying outside is a good option. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji followed behind, their faces as if nothing had happened, but their thoughts were also changing. Suddenly, a figure was like thunder, carrying wind and thunder and attacking at Riko Tenai. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji discovered the intruder almost at the same time. Spell Spirit Manipulation. Rainbow Dragon. A ferocious-looking dragon suddenly shot out from Shayuji's sleeves, and its body continued to expand and grow. Honglong is the most powerful defensive spell spirit among the special spell spirits controlled by Shayuji. Honglong stood directly in front of Riko Tenai. But in just a moment, the rainbow dragon split into 2. Gojo Satoru and Sha Yuji's pupils suddenly shrank. Gojo Satoru's figure flashed in front of Tenuki Riko. The person who came was none other than Fuhei. Fuhei Shiji held the samurai soul sword and slashed Gojo Satoru's palms. But with this blow, there was no feeling of any flesh being cut. At the moment when he was stunned, 3 quasi-special level curse spirits rushed towards Fuhei from the side. Fuhei quickly retreated, and at the same time he swung his soul sacrifice sword, killing 3 quasi-special level curse spirits in an instant. Gojo Satoru burst out with all his speed and caught up with Fushiguro Shijir in an instant. The speed of the two was extremely fast, and they fought hundreds of times in just 1 second. Jia, take Riko in. Sha Yuji glanced at Gojo Satoru and Fushiguro Shiji, mentioned Tenuki Riko and ran to the Nizaki Palace. Jia, aren't you going to help Wu? No need, that little fool, Satoru can fight 10 of them alone. Sha Yuji thought that Fuhei would be the same as the enemies they encountered in the past. Although Fuhei acted extremely forcefully when he took action just now, what he faced was the 6 eyes of the sky. The Gojo family has the strongest bloodline, and a genius only emerges in hundreds of years. And after studying with Rosen for 3 years, even Sha Yuji couldn't guess how strong he was. Although Sha Yuji refused to admit defeat, he also knew that Gojo Satoru was stronger than him. This gap is still very obvious. Just like Rosen is stronger than them and there is a clear gap, there is also a clear gap between him and Gojo Satoru. Gojo Satoru, the person closest to Rosen in the world and who also inherited some of Rosen's techniques, didn't need him to worry about at all. But Gojo Satoru discovered that the guy in front of him was a bit super strong. When Gojo Satoru was surprised, Fushiguro was equally shocked. Of course he knew who Gojo Satoru was, but he didn't expect that Gojo Satoru's physical skills could be as good as his own. Even with the blessing of his unlimited spells, he actually fell into a disadvantage. Fushiguro suddenly replaced the samurai soul sword with the Tenibo. Gojo Satoru was full of confidence when facing Tenibobo. He believed that no one could penetrate the unlimited technique. But Tenibo directly penetrated Gojo Satoru's neck. Gojo Satoru's eyes widened and his body fell to the ground. Fushiguro shook off the blood stains on the Tenibobo. Is this the 6-eyed Kangtian who is said to be the strongest? It's really disappointing. Fushiguro shook his head. Sure enough, compared with that guy, the 6-eyed Kangtian is really nothing. Fushiguro was about to turn around and chase Tenuki Riko when he suddenly felt a huge wave of terror coming from behind. Fuhei's pupils suddenly shrank, and his body jumped out almost instinctively. When he looked back, he saw Gojo Satoru standing up again and firing an azure at him. Kang looked at it as a spell, but it actually caused pure physical damage, so his spell resistance was of no use. Packed with violent energy, this treasure rushed up the stairs diagonally. The entire staircase of more than 1,000 meters was directly destroyed by Gojo Satoru's attack, leaving a ravine on the hillside. Gojo Satoru twisted his neck and looked at Fushiguro again. Who did you just say I can't compare to? Fuhei's eyes became cold. Round 2. Whoosh. Gojo Satoru was so fast that he appeared behind Fushiguro in the blink of an eye, so fast that Fushiguro had no time to react. Gojo Satoru kicked Fushiguro in the back. While Fushiguro was kicked away, he tried his best to control his body posture. However, Gojo Satoru caught up with Fushiguro in midair and struck him with another blow, kicking Fushiguro's body into the air, followed by another blow and another blow. Every time Gojo Satoru attacks Fushiguro, Fushiguro will feel his body stiffen. This is Black Flash, a melee method that only high-end spellcasters can accurately control and release. Through the combination of the impact of physical strikes and the impact of magic, space distortion is generated in an instant of 0.000001 seconds, causing huge amounts of damage. The damage caused by Black Flash is 2.5 times the normal damage value. Almost no magician can actively release Black Flash, but the protagonist Hisahito Knotweed in the original book has the highest number of Black Flash combos. But Gojo Satoru, the strongest man in the world of magic in this era, had no chance to hit the Black Flash combo. Because almost no magicians and magic spirits can withstand 2 Black Flashes from Gojo Satoru. Now we have it. Fushiguro Jinji's monster-like body can withstand Gojo Satoru's Black Flash. But even if he resists it, Fuhei cannot be exempted from the stiffness caused by the black flash. Moreover, every black flash of Gojo Satoru will bring huge amounts of damage. Gojo Satoru also experienced the pleasure of black flash combo for the first time. Fushiguro knew that if he continued to think of a way to break the situation and was beaten by Gojo Satoru's black flash, no matter how strong his body was, he would be defeated. Just when Gojo Satoru thought he was sure to win, a burst of green light steam suddenly erupted from Fushiguro's body. Gojo Satoru didn't know what the green steam did, so he immediately gave up attacking and retreated more than 10 meters away. Fushikiji moved his neck. It was no joke that he was hit so many times by Gojo Satoru just now. He felt that several of his ribs were broken. However, Fuheishi's muscle tissue squirmed a few times at will, and the broken ribs were reattached. It's my turn next. Fushiguro looked at Gojo Satoru with a ferocious smile. Bang! Fuheishir even broke through the sound barrier at the moment of movement. At this moment, even Gojo Satoru's reflexes couldn't keep up with Fushiguro's movements. Gojo Satoru's 6 eyes of the sky can keep up, but his reaction nerves cannot. Puff! Fushiguro kicked Gojo Satoru in the chest. Gojo Satoru felt that his ribs were completely shattered. Fushiguro caught up with Gojo Satoru, who was flying backwards, followed by another punch, and then caught up with another punch. Fushiguro replicated Gojo Satoru's previous beating on him. It's just that Fuheishir has no magic power, so he can't use Black Flash. So when Fushiguro struck out for the 3rd time in a row, Gojo Satoru reacted. First, use the reversal technique to heal the injury, and at the same time, perform a powerful attack on the ground. With his current weightless state, it was impossible to avoid Fuheishir's attack. Therefore, he needs to use He to cause pushback. At the same time, he can also cause impact and force Fuheishir back. When masters compete, they are not only fighting for courage, but also fighting for wits. As expected, Fushiguro stopped attacking, but took a step back, and then suddenly rushed towards Gojo Satoru. But at this time, Gojo Satoru had stabilized again and looked at Fushihiji. 6 eyes. Illusion. The moment Fuheishir fell into the illusion, he immediately broke away from the illusion. Rosen once told him that once he encounters an illusion or realizes that he is trapped in an illusion, he should immediately injure his body and use pain to break away from the illusion. This trick can remove 99% of the illusion. Gojo Satoru's illusion skills are not very good, and his 6 eyes of the sky are not particularly blessed. However, even if it is a fleeting stagnation, Gojo Satoru can still seize this momentary opportunity. One shot of magic shot towards Fuheishir. When Fuheishir woke up, Kang was already close at hand. Fuheishir saw this situation and judged that he could not avoid it. And with his physical condition, even if he opened 4 doors, he would not be able to withstand this loss. Fuheishir immediately made a decision and forcibly opened the 7th door. In an instant, the green steam on Fuheishir's body turned into blue steam. Fuheishir's aura immediately increased tenfold. At the same time, the pressure forced Gojo Satoru to retreat. Fuheishir felt that his bones were screaming, and his flesh and blood tissue seemed to be peeled off at any time. The time he had been exposed to the 8-door Dunjia was too short, and his body had not yet adapted to the 7th door. In fact, Fuheishir can only open the 5th gate to the limit at present, and the 4th gate is his current stable state. Now he opened the 7th door directly, and the pain that tore his body almost made Fuheishir collapse. While Fuheishir was enduring huge amounts of pain, his body was also strengthening in an incredible way. The technique, Kang's bombardment on his body, only made him take 2 steps back. This attack, even nothing is as painful as the opening of the 7th door. Gojo Satoru's pupils suddenly shrank, and he was able to swallow his own technique. He had only seen one person, Rosen. Now another one has been added, Fuheishir. Although Fushiguro is obviously not as good as Rosen, the fact that he was able to master the technique without any damage really shocked Gojo Satoru. If you compare Fuheishir and Metkai, Fuheishir even surpasses Metkai in terms of basic physical fitness. The strengthening of the 8-gate Dunjia's physique is also strengthened based on each person's foundation, and at the same time, the stronger the counter-injury he can withstand. Fushiguro Shiji's veins popped out all over his body at this moment. The moment he made his move, from a distance of more than 10 meters, Gojo Satoru felt like a mountain suppressing him. The white magic power around Gojo Satoru was suddenly released, and the white magic power turned into bones and muscles, and then turned into a silver giant. This is Gojo Satoru's Susanoo. At this time, Fushiheiji launched an attack on Gojo Satoru like a blue beast. Konoha Whirlwind. Fushigiro's legs continued to swing out, and the air cannon bombarded the silver-white Susanoo. Susanoo cracked under this crazy attack. Konoha's Great Whirlwind. Fushiguro kicked out with a spinning kick, and Susanoo suddenly collapsed. Gojo Satoru's scalp felt numb and he immediately increased the output of the spell. The damaged Susanoo was repaired again and became taller, with a pair of wings on his back and a long sword in his hand. Complete Susanoo. Gojo Satoru felt a little strenuous. This complete Susanoo consumed too much mana. But at this time, he had no choice. Gojo Satoru gave a light drink. Susanoo. Great Sumaruden. The complete Susanoo held the sword with both hands and struck straight down. Fuheishir made a starting motion, and at the moment when the sword fell down, his movements suddenly exploded. Gate 7. Day Tiger. Fuheishir's offensive instantly materialized into a fierce tiger, which crashed straight into the fallen sword. Boom! In an instant, the earth shook and the mountains shook, and a large area of the hillside in front of the Xingxing Palace dented. This blow was evenly matched, and after this blow, Fuheishir could no longer maintain the 7th gate, and at the same time, the side effects of the 8th-gate Dunjia began to sweep through his body. Fuheishir felt as if his bones were broken all over his body. His skin was cracked, and blood was constantly oozing out, making him look like a bloody man. Gojo Satoru was a little better, at least he still had the strength to fight, but after this blow he also consumed 80% of the mantra's power, and his physical strength was almost exhausted. The guy in front of him can be said to be the only enemy he has ever seen in his life. Although Rosen was stronger than him, every time he fought against him, Rosen never had the intention to kill. The killing intent in this guy in front of him seemed to be real. Gojo Satoru finally decided to launch his ultimate killing move. His eyes bloomed like brilliant stars, and the middle finger of his right hand wrapped around his index finger. The realm expands. Infinite space. This is not the best time for a field of release to unfold. Once his domain expansion fails, he will enter a spell fuse. He couldn't be sure whether the opponent had other killing moves. But this time he overestimated Fuheishir, and Fuheishir was at the end of his strength at this moment. If it were normal, he could still use Tianibo to forcibly disintegrate the opponent's domain before it took shape. But for him now, even moving his fingers is a luxury. A huge amount of black sphere enveloped the two of them. This was the expansion of Gojo Satoru's realm. Infinite space. Within the domain, Gojo Satoru can stuff half a year's worth of junk information into the enemy's brain in 0.2 seconds, causing the enemy's brain to shut down due to the large amount of junk information. Moreover, after Gojo Satoru mastered the genjutsu, the lethality of the infinite space has also increased significantly. The information he can stuff into the enemy's brain is not only useless junk information, but also painful information, such as half a year of torture or other emotions. Fuheishir knew that he had no choice now. A ball of red flame burst out from his body, and the blue beast was transforming into a red beast. Fuheishir's expression suddenly froze, and the flames on his body quickly extinguished. In the end, he failed to open the 8th door. The 7th door was already overloaded, and now that his body was in an extremely weak stage, how could he possibly open the 8th door? The next moment, he saw Gojo Satoru's eyes as bright as the stars. Countless images of him being tortured flooded into his mind. These pictures were in his brain, constantly stimulating his nerves. Then his brain stopped thinking. When the picture disappeared, Fuheishir was already lying on the ground. The infinite space disappeared, and Gojo Satoru's legs were floating at this moment. The first time in life is always unforgettable. Fuheishir's eyes lost focus and looked at the sky aimlessly. His body was in pieces, and the 8 gates were forcibly opened, leaving him on the verge of death. And his brain was crammed with a large amount of painful and tormenting memories into the infinite space, causing his brain to almost collapse. Gojo Satoru grabbed Fushikiji's head, and Fushikiji's brain gradually became clearer, but the physical damage could not be recovered in a short time. Do you have any last words? Puff. Fuhei Sheer vomited blood from his mouth and looked at Gojo Satoru weakly. I have a son named Wei. He is currently at Zenuan's house. If it is convenient, please take care of him. Although Fuhei Shire's face was weak, there was a smile on his face. It's a pity that I didn't have the chance to use the 8th gate. I don't have a chance to use the 8th door to make that guy bleed, but it's worth dying under these eyes. I hope you can meet him in the future. As for your last words, I will help you fulfill them. Gojo Satoru nodded, condensed a green ball on his fingertips and aimed it at Fushihaji's head. Poof! Gojo Satoru dropped Fushigiro's body. In front of the Xingxing Palace, Shayuji and Tenuki Riko were standing in front of the main hall at this moment. Riko, if you want to change your life, Satoru and I can help you. Shayuji finally said the words he had been holding in his heart. At this moment, Gojo Satoru walked up from the bottom of the mountain. Sorry, don't represent me at will. Gojo Satoru walked over. Shayuji glanced at Gojo Satoru with a look of disdain. It's really ugly. If it were me, I would never be as embarrassed as you. You fool, do you know what I just went through? Gojo Satoru shouted angrily. A mere magician killer, nothing more. Riko, let's go. Gojo Satoru looked at Tenuki Riko and said. Where to go? In the past few days, we have accompanied you to your school and met your classmates and teachers. So this time it is your turn to accompany us to meet our classmates and teachers. But, Riko Tenuki raised her head and looked at the celestial palace in front of her. It doesn't matter. You can come here anytime. Jay, are you right? Shayuji also smiled. Yes, Riko, do you want to meet the most powerful magician? Don't you two sincerely believe that you are number one every day? Yes, what we are competing for is to be number one in the school. We are still students at the moment. If we want to be number one in the magic world, we can't do it yet. Then take me to meet the most powerful magician. Just as the two were about to leave with Riko Tenuki, dozens of conjurers suddenly ran out of the Hoshi Palace and surrounded the three of them. Sansan Nohara, the chief priest of the Xingxing Palace, walked out a few steps with narrowed eyes. Gojo Satoru, Natsu Yuji, your mission has been completed. Next, please leave Riko-sama to me. Mitsunohara said with a smile. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji were guarding Riko Tenuki behind them, and they were ready to fall out with Yusei Gong. As for the consequences, these two guys never think about it. Hoo-ha! At this moment, there was a sound of gasping from the stairs ahead, and Rosen was seen walking up the stairs step by step. Ha! Finally, we finally made it up. This mountain road is really difficult to walk on. Rosen gasped. Heh. Wuji, why are you here? What a coincidence. Ah. Yes, what a coincidence, teacher. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji were also grinning. Sansan Nohara looked at Rosen. Sir, your students are currently performing the mission of our Xingxing Palace, but they seem to have objections to ending this mission. Oh, Wu, Jia, is this happening? Yes, we have been arranged to protect this cute little girl and escort her safely to the Palace of the Star. I'm a hot girl, not cute. Tenuki Riko complained with her hands on her waist. Rosen glanced at Riko Tenuki, then looked at Mitsunohara. You initiated the mission, but it is my students who decide when to end this mission. There is no scenery in this poor place, let's go. Sorry, I'm afraid you can't. Rosen suddenly turned around and raised his hand to point behind the laser. A golden beam of light shot out across the sky, and in an instant, most of the tall star palace disappeared. At the same time, the three peaks behind the palace also disappeared. My students are here, can you please give me some face? Rosen smiled and looked at Sansan Nohara and a group of Xingxing Palace conjurers. If it doesn't work, then I can only apologize to you here. Quote. At this moment, a vague figure appeared at the entrance of the Xingxing Palace. The figure's whole body and head were wrapped in gauze, and the true appearance could not be seen clearly. There were dozens of talismans hanging on the gauze, and it felt like something was under the gauze. It's like sealing some serious evil. Lord Tianyuan, Sansan Nohara and others immediately knelt down on one knee when they saw the person coming. 3 items, that's it for now. But, Xiao Lizzie is not indispensable. Since Xiao Lizzie is not willing and Mr. Rosen has come forward, there is no need to insist. Tianyuan looked at Rosen again. What's more, all the people in the entire Xingxing Palace, even in a fight, it is impossible to defeat Mr. Rosen. Rosen glanced at Tianyuan and left with Gojo Satoru, Xiaoyuji and Tenuki Riko. Teacher, that guy Tianyuan doesn't look like a good person. We should kill him right then. Gojo Satoru said. Teacher, who is better, you or Tianyuan? Xiaoyuji asked. Not sure. Tianyuan has lived for more than 1,000 years. He has mastered countless spells, and his spell power has been growing. At the same time, he has some kind of connection with the entire world. Rosen said. Once he and I start a war, it's not certain who will win, but many people will definitely die. Tianyuan's current state is very special. Every few decades, he needs to find an astral body, and then transfer his consciousness and mantra to a new astral body. In the process, he will also obtain an astral body. Everything, including memories. Of course, he changed his astral body in order to maintain his identity as a human. And once this process is interrupted, then he will undergo unpredictable evolution. To put it more bluntly, it is the transformation into a cursed spirit. Kensuo has been planning a plan for thousands of years, which is to spiritualize the Tianyuan curse, then use the curse spirit manipulation technique to control Tianyuan, and then swallow the power of Tianyuan's curse. However, Rosen could see that Tianyuan was not simply good or evil. He had his own goal, which was to transcend the essence of the curse, which could also be said to be the pursuit of becoming a god. In some ways, Rosen and Tianyuan are both the same type of people. Riko was trembling with fear all the way. After all, Rosen had just destroyed most of the Star Palace and the 3 mountains behind it with one finger. Luo, it's very difficult for me to do this. Noctua grabbed his hair, his face full of pain. Do you know that because of you, the Kamo family and the Zenuan family have already issued protests? You said well, how to solve this matter now? I can't solve the problem, but I can solve the people who raised the problem, the Kamo family and the Zenuan family, right? I'm going to destroy them now. Rosen sat on the boss's chair, with his feet up on Noctua's desk. It just so happens that I also feel that the current world of magic is too lifeless. Let me destroy these ancient families and start an era of great melee in magic. You lunatic, forget it, I'll suppress this matter. Noctua Jungdao was really afraid that Rosen would mess up. Rosen's character, who is afraid of chaos in the world, may really start a war in the world of magic. That little girl, what are you going to do? Astral body. I really want to see how high she can reach. Let's apply for admission for her. In the world of magic, Riko Tenai is not the first astral body. There is also an astral body that escaped its fate, 99 Yuki. He was a student at the same time as Gojo Satoru and Xiaoyuji, and he also had unparalleled talent, not even inferior to Gojo Satoru. Riko also became Rosen's student. Different from 99 Yuki's exclusive spell, Wrath of the Stars, the exclusive spell awakened by Riko Tenuki is called Supernova. With her strong talent and bloodline, Riko Tenuki has reached the level of a first-level magician in the first semester. At the same time, Gojo Satoru and Xiaoyuji also graduated from the Conjuring College. Gojo Satoru stayed in school and became a glorious magic teacher. Xiaoyuji registered with the Conjurers Association and became a practicing conjurer. Panda became Rosen's assistant and became a school doctor at the Magic College. Tenri Riko is currently fighting against Panda. After several years of training, Panda's physical skills are now very powerful. With the use of Thunderbolt, he can even fight against super-level cursed spirits. It's just that his current identity is still a cursed corpse, and the Conjurers Association will not recognize a cursed corpse rating. Rosen leaned back on the steps and watched the 2 men fighting in the playground. Riko's physical skills are not satisfactory, and can even be said to be a bit poor. On the one hand, it is due to her character, and on the other hand, her talent is not in physical skills. It can be said that Tenuki Riko's physical skills were the worst among the students Rosen taught. It was so bad that Rosen's veins jumped. At this moment, Rosen's phone rang. Satoru, what's the matter? Jia killed someone. He slaughtered an entire village of ordinary people. Gojo Satoru's tone was very serious. Massacring civilians means that Xiaoyuji will not be tolerated by the Magicians Association. Give me the location. Rosen said. Teacher, can you give Jia a chance? Wipe your ass, I'm a professional. Gojo Satoru rushed to the scene of the incident immediately. In the raging fire, Shayuji was pulling two little girls out of the fire. Gojo Satoru appeared in front of Shayuji in an instant. The two little girls immediately became nervous when they saw Gojo Satoru's appearance. The aura on Gojo Satoru made them afraid. However, Shayuji was very calm and gently pulled the two girls behind him. Satoru, are you here to kill me? You are my best friend. Gojo Satoru glanced at the burning village behind him. I'm here to inform you that the teacher knows about it, and he is coming over. I'm not sure about his position. Suddenly, a terrifying and incomprehensible spell came from a distance. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji looked into the distance at the same time, while the two little girls Nanako and Mimiko were trembling with fear. This aura was so huge that it made Gojo Satoru and Shayuji's faces change color at the same time. Even if the spell power of the two of them were added together and multiplied 10 times, they would not be able to compare with this spell power. This breath is crazy, violent, and as unbridled as flames. They saw the sunset in the distance dyed fiery red. A fiery red nine-tailed demon fox with a body length of more than 200 meters appeared in the urban area, and the nine-tailed demon fox ran rampantly into the suburbs. The damage caused by this nine-tailed demon fox was immeasurable, and the casualties were frighteningly high. Dozens of conjurers who tried to stop the ambush were all killed under the giant claws of the nine-tailed demon fox. Soon, the nine-tailed demon fox appeared in front of Gojo Satoru and Shayuji. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji were also shocked speechless by the giant beast in front of them. What on earth is this guy? Shayuji asked. Could this guy be the legendary nine-tailed demon fox Tamamo? Gojo Satoru was a little confused at the moment. The spell power of this nine-tailed demon fox was immeasurably huge, and he only thought of this image of the nine-tailed demon fox Tamamo. Shayuji's mouth twitched. It's not. How are you sure it isn't? Shayuji used the magic spirit technique to summon a special curse spirit. This curse spirit also had powerful spell power, but compared with the huge amounts of the nine-tailed demon fox in front of him, it was the difference between a tiger and a little milk cat. That's Tamamo. Shayuji pointed at the special level curse spirit he summoned. This. Gojo Satoru looked at Shayuji's curse spirit, and then at the supergiant nine-tailed demon fox in front of him. He still felt that the huge amounts of curse spirit in front of him was the Tamamo. Why don't you change the name of your curse spirit? Gojo Satoru couldn't help but complain. Why should this guy change his name? Shayuji said angrily. Forget it, no matter what it's called, let's defeat it first. Mimiko, Nanako, stay away. Satoru and I will kill this guy first. Shayuji patted the heads of the two little girls. The two little girls knew they couldn't help, so they hid far away without looking back. In the minds of the two little girls, Shayuji is everything to them. In the original work, these two little girls are the root cause of Shayuji's blacken. Shayuji regards them as his daughters, and they are loyal to Shayuji until death. Shayuji felt relieved after seeing the two little girls hiding away. I saw Shayuji grinning and pointing one hand to the sky, where a huge amount of vortex ball appeared in the sky. Curse spirit manipulation. Extremely awesome. Gojo Satoru opened his arms, and two counter-rotating spheres appeared on the left and right sides at the same time. Jutsu. Ao and reversal jutsu. He merged into one, eventually forming an energy ball. Virtual style. C. At the same time, the nine-tailed demon fox opposite began to condense a black ball in its mouth. Kyubi. Tailed beast jade. After a short period of energy accumulation, the three of them took action at the same time and released towards each other. Boom. 3 energy balls blasted together. In an instant, the indescribable explosion impact spread out wantonly. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji appeared next to the two little girls at the same time, one each, grabbed the two little girls and swept them away. The center of the explosion formed an energy shock wave of nearly a kilometer. This shock wave annihilated everything around it. The village that had been burned to the ground a moment ago was reduced to ashes under the impact of this energy. Half a minute later, a shocking huge crater was left on the scene. Gojo Satoru, Shayuji, and the nine-tailed demon fox opposite were all unscathed. After a brief confrontation, the three took action almost simultaneously. The two tails of the nine-tailed demon fox swept forward. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji thought they could resist it. But they never thought that the power of these two tails was far greater than they imagined. The two of them were thrown away directly, and the nine-tailed demon fox swooped forward fiercely, with huge amounts of body about to hit the two of them. Gojo Satoru and Shayuji jumped up quickly and ran to avoid the attack of the nine-tailed demon fox. The two of them climbed onto the body of the nine-tailed demon fox and kicked it at the same time. Black flash. The two of them fired black flash at the same time, followed by another punch and then a kick. The black flashes of the two people continued to strike continuously, and the body of the nine-tailed demon fox was also stiffened by the black flashes, unable to move. Roar. The nine-tailed demon fox suddenly roared, and this roar seemed to have cast some kind of spell. The two people who were still besieging the nine-tailed demon fox suddenly stiffened and fell straight to the ground. The tail of the nine-tailed demon fox curled up around the two of them. The two of them were rolled up uncomfortably, and they felt like their bones were about to be crushed. Complete Susanoo. Gojo Satoru activated his complete Susanoo, covering himself and Natsuyuji, and at the same time opened the tail of the nine-tailed demon fox. However, Gojo Satoru's complete Susanoo was only 100 meters tall, which was roughly equivalent to Madara Uchiha's early stage of awakening the eternal Mangekyo. The nine-tailed demon fox in front of him was 200 meters long, with a shoulder height of 70 or 80 meters. He stood slightly lower than Susanoo. But if it raises its forelimbs, its body will be much larger than Susanoo. What's more, this nine-tailed demon fox was transformed by Rosen. This nine-tailed demon fox was separated from the 10-tailed fox by Rosen, and it also attached its own consciousness. The nine-tailed demon fox raised its palm and slapped it directly towards Susanoo. Susanoo was sent flying and hit the mountain wall heavily. Mountain walls stretching hundreds of meters collapsed, and Susanoo also disintegrated. Satoru, your Susanoo is too weak. It can't even withstand a slap from this cursed spirit. Come if you can. Gojo Satoru shouted angrily. Shayuji put his hands together, sealing technique. King Kong blockade. The next moment, Shayuji's arms stretched out 10 silver chains, and these 10 silver chains immediately wrapped around the nine-tailed demon fox. Did you see it? Shayuji glanced at Gojo Satoru proudly. Now that the cursed spirit can't move, the next step is up to you. Gojo Satoru immediately activated his full strength, Kyoshi style. See. Boom. Gojo Satoru's full force bombarded the nine-tailed demon fox. But when the smoke passed, the nine-tailed demon fox was unscathed. Seeing this scene, Gojo Satoru and Shayuji both looked very ugly. At this time, dozens of conjurers appeared in the distance. They gathered from all directions to surround and suppress the nine-tailed demon fox. The nine-tailed demon fox stretched out its claws, grabbed the silver chain, and pulled hard. Shayuji was pulled directly in front of the nine-tailed demon fox, and huge amounts of claws of the nine-tailed demon fox pierced Shayuji's chest. Gojo Satoru's eyes were split when he saw this scene. The realm expands. Infinite space. At the same time, among the chasing spellcasters, a blonde girl also burst out with powerful spells. Black lines extended from the feet of the blonde girl, and the surrounding area began to lose color. The realm unfolds. Heavenly Man. She is the 99 Yuki, the woman who can force the 1,000-year-old coin into a desperate situation. The nine-tailed demon fox found that everything around him had lost its color, and at the same time, his body felt like it was pressed by 10 mountains. This is the expansion of 99 Yuki's domain, confining all spells and spells, except herself. Gojo Satoru's domain of infinite space also extended at this time, wrapping the nine-tailed demon fox within it. When 99 Yuki saw this, he immediately shrunk his own domain to avoid overlapping with Gojo Satoru's domain to neutralize it. Once their domains are neutralized and forcibly closed, both of them will fall into a fuse. Countless painful information poured into the nine-tailed demon fox's brain. The nine-tailed demon fox was in great pain at the moment. These were all things he had taught Gojo Satoru. Now Gojo Satoru is using this move against him. But at this moment, Rosen, who was controlling the nine-tailed demon fox, suddenly had an idea in his mind. Whether it is Gojo Satoru or 99 Yuki, their fields must be related to their exclusive techniques. And what is your own special technique? The more painful it was, the clearer Rosen's thinking became. Light escape. This should be the most suitable technique for me. After all, light escape was developed step by step by Rosen. Simple area. The ground rose in an arc, and at the same time the surrounding ground began to burn, releasing intense light and heat. This is Rosen's simple area. The most extreme embodiment of light escape is naturally the sun. The surrounding raised ground is an environment like the surface of the sun. However, the first time Rosen opened the simple realm, he directly collided with Gojo Satoru's infinite space and 99 Yuki's heavenly being, and the three realms were neutralized at the same time. Gojo Satoru and 99 Yuki also entered the magic fuse at this time. Rosen glanced at the conjurers in front of him, turned around and ran away. Huge amounts of bodies rushed directly, and all the spellcasters in front of them were unable to stop them. Even if they bombarded the nine-tailed demon fox with spells, they would be ignored by the nine-tailed demon fox. As soon as the nine-tailed demon fox left, Rosen came from the other direction. Oh, what happened? Gojo Satoru came to Rosen with the seriously injured Sha Yuji in his arms. Teacher, Jay is injured. Rosen glanced at Sha Yuji, then went up and slapped Sha Yuji. Teacher, if you hit Jia again, he will die. Are you stupid? He knows how to reverse the spell. As long as he wakes up, he can use the reverse spell to recover from his injuries. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.